TV. We appreciate that support as well. And I would say a good day to you, sirs, madams, and all of you that are in the chat as well. So, that's not a choo-choo win for Florida State, but it is a win for Florida State. Little ding-ding quad one for that ass with the win last night over Pitt, and it moves the needle a little bit. Good job for Florida State basketball. That's a good win. It's an important win. It gives you some hope. You can latch on to something here, a little something like maybe. Right now, Florida State is NIT bound. That is where they are headed. They are not making the NCAA tournament currently. But there's more basketball to be played, including a sleeping nooner this weekend against woeful Georgia Tech, who Florida State should dispatch. And it's the reason that you needed to win last night. I would have liked the two-game sweep. You would have had the 2 quad one wins in a row had you beaten Clemson on the road. Instead, you got drubbed. You weren't very competitive against Clemson. That put your back squarely against the wall. And it meant last night was a must-win game. Dare I say, a regular season game of this ilk is a must-win. Usually that's an overblown statement and people overreach when they say must-win a lot of times. If you have eyes on the NCAA tournament, and you do, that's your goal at the start of every year, that's what you're hoping to accomplish, then you had to win the game last night. And they did. And it featured a little bit of fireworks at the end because we were Bush League and dunked as time expired, which was not what you do. And it made me laugh. But the response from Pitt, at least Pitt's players, not coaches, not the Capels, but rather the players, was the response you would expect to get when you do something Bush League like that. We were at fault. We were at fault. It's still great. I was like, yes, bleed into the stands, fight. I wanted to see it all. I'm always here for it. But we didn't get it. And, that wasn't thanks to the Capels. They were trying to further this thing and elevate this thing to levels it didn't need to go to. So you had some 2 wrongs going on here. It's pretty simple. Florida State was wrong, and Pitt's staff and coaches were wrong. So there you go. That's people are expecting some sort of over-the-top hot take about what happened. This is stuff that's pretty easy to discern. When you dunk as time expires and they're letting you run out the clock, you should expect that there's going to be a retort, verbally or otherwise. There's going to be a response with something like that, as there should be, I might add. If we let somebody do that to us and not respond accordingly, I'd be bitterly disappointed as a competitor.
Yeah, I think sometimes it depends on what the other team is doing down the other end of the half court, but we had already gotten our dunk.
The breakaway dunk was just before it.
Right, just before it, and it looks like they're trying, and then now we're kind of done here. So
they were done. It was over. Yeah.
But it makes me recall a great moment in Seminole basketball history at Cameron Indoor Stadium.
For a bet that you won.
That's right. A backdoor cover for Dwayne Bacon with a meaningless dunk at the buzzer on the road. It brought back those memories, but also last night's effort generally brought me back to 2011, 2012. Just relentless effort, very scrappy, and then the offense comes to life in the second half.
Yes, because it was unwatchable for a half. The first half, which was what I was tweeting about, and I didn't follow it up. I should have followed it up in the second half because people saw that tweet later on, and they're like, what game are you watching? Well, if you watch the first 20 minutes of basketball, you saw offensive ineptitude.
It was a Jameer Watkins 3-ball show, and then that's about it. Nothing else.
A whole bunch of missed layups and bunnies and putbacks and point blank and hurried up offenses off a transition and just nonsense. It was hard to watch. Now, there was a lot of defensive intensity. I will give both sides credit there. They were playing hard. Never mistake ugliness, inefficient basketball, poor shooting, whatever it might be, with a lack of effort. No, there was a lot of effort. In fact, that was part of my frustration, which led to my tweet, is that we were turning a Pitt team that's guard-oriented over. We were turning them over repeatedly, and they don't turn it over. Statistically, Pitt came into this game as a real problem matchup for Florida State. because it's hard to generate turnovers against them. And guard-oriented teams have hurt Florida State badly. We can't stay in front of them. Usually leads to a bunch of fouls and a lot of problems, and teams who can really shoot it, we don't defend the three ball very well. See Clemson. And you're thinking this could be a problem. Now Pitt didn't come in as a bunch of dead-eye dicks. They weren't a bunch of guys that could really light it up from three, although last night they were shooting well. So you had a bunch of things happening that were kind of outside of the norm, but I thought it was playing more in our hands because we were turning them over and getting opportunities, and we couldn't cash it in on the other end. We were struggling. I mean, you had a bunch of FSU steals. I mean, you forced a bunch of 14 turnovers in the first half for Pitt, and we had forced 7 of them.
Yeah, I was going to say it was 13 or 14, and you don't even score 30 at the break. I mean,
that's what I mean. And there were 2 just like, I mean, that's a layup, my man. We kind of can't miss that. Not at your height. Can't miss that. So that's what I was tweeting about for anybody that said, what are you talking about? Because the second half was the opposite. I mean, there was a real flow to the second half of that game, and I've got the numbers in front of me. Again, you saw Florida State really step it up offensively and extend that lead at one point in the second half. I believe at just under the 10-minute mark, I think we were up 16. Like, we're playing really well. And when this thing got cut all the way down to 5, I was thinking, come on, guys, don't do that to yourself.
Well, yeah, with about 10 minutes to go, you're thinking, I don't know, the Pitt's going to get to 50, 55 points, and out of nowhere they go on a bit of a run. But it's the Ewan run in the second half was the first impressive thing. The baseline weird body, control shot that
he's a really
he
talented offensive player.
You have to have the touch of a 2-guard to be able to pull off some of the shots he can, and then the speed of Daquan Davis as well. You just see that in moments too. We go, oh my God, he can fly.
I kind of blame Daquan for part of the problems there at the end of the game. Why did he pass it to him?
Yeah, well, what do you think's going to happen?
You know what's going to happen there because there was a lot of chirping going on the whole game.
But good. I'm glad to know we're here for it.
Yeah.
It's not when the team suffers a loss like it did at Clemson, clearly Leonard had challenged them. He said as much in the postgame. It reminds me of a moment years ago, another losing. Well, actually, we didn't lose that season record-wise. On the road at Louisville, when Odell Haggins in 2016 is the only guy
breaking up the huddle.
He's the only guy that shows some toughness. That's not a good sign. And Leonard was challenging his group last night not to duplicate the effort from the Little John, but to do the opposite. Do the exact opposite of what you did on the road in Clemson, and they showed up.
Second half of that game is really good. The final stats for FSU, 24 of 56 from the field, 42%, 6 of 19 from beyond the arc, 31%. But most importantly, and it really aided you down the stretch, 28 of 33 from the free throw line. Hitting your free throws at an 84% clip when you're trying to put the game away will get it done. We were also, and this is what I'm talking about, the tale of two halves, 16 of 27 in the second half. You shoot nearly 60% in the second half. It was entirely 2 different teams. Or
2 different games.
Yeah, really just 2 different games. You're right, because Pitt shot it really well, too, in the second half.
Boy, some of their kickouts and the drives and distribution, pretty. You can understand why they had amassed the quad 1 status, the upper tier top 30 status that they had.
Yeah, no, you can. You saw bouts of it, yes. In the second half, Florida State was 20 of 24 from the line. 54 points in the second half for Florida State. I mean, just a totally different game. It's 28 points in the first half, 54 points in the second half. This is it's why you stay up. I was fighting sleep, but that's why you stay up.
I taped it.
You didn't stay up?
I taped it.
Nobody tapes anything anymore. I know you're just using the phrase.
I cloud DVR'd it.
Do you do, honestly?
Isn't taped easier to say than cloud DVR'd
Yeah, if you grow up in a certain era, you taped everything. You ever go back and find your old VHS tapes, your VCR tapes, your Betamax tapes? You ever go back and find all those? I mean, my parents still have a shelf at their house with 60 tapes. Some of them are movies that they take, like Movie of the Week on ABC. Some of them are sporting events like the Final Four from 1980, whatever.
Yeah, my dad has The Miracle on Ice still on VHS. And it's a faded label. That's how you know which one it is. But my sister, for the home video stuff, the home VHS tapes, she did a great thing a few years ago. Digitized
everything.
So
I've been meaning to do it.
I've got a USB port with everything from silent films from the 60s and 70s, like their days of dating and wedding stuff, all the way. It's
wow.
Yeah, that's quite the process. That's the labor of love right there.
Oh, that's really cool. Somewhere my father has the greatest catch of a Nerf football one has ever seen, made by yours truly. At the tender age of 11, keeping both feet in, the street being the boundary, of course, and the grass, over the shoulder, woefully thrown ball by my father. Well behind me, timed it terribly.
The edge of the grass down there is no joke, because that's some thick grass.
Thick grass. And like the athlete I would become, I reach back, defying gravity, and make this catch with the tip of the ball. Bring it in, get both feet down, roll onto the cement, stand up in all of my glory, in which you can hear my father laughing. And I say something to the effect of, that's the best catch you've ever seen.
Oh, so you're saying you had that bravado at 11, huh?
I did, yes. Born from tennis and soccer prowess at the time. Now, that is somewhere on the shelf. Florida State basketball, baseball, football games, too, although very few Florida State basketball games taped that I can recall. Maybe early 90s. Yeah, probably some early 90s.
We used to tape the pay-per-views. You know, you get the pay-per-view thing, and so you get the first 90 seconds would be the countdown clock on the left-hand side.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
And they'd show you the previews for all the other movies. Coming this July, Grumpy Old Men, you know, and it's a totally different movie.
I have the misfortune, for those that have not heard the news today, it happened this morning, of announcing, sadly, or acknowledging at least of the reports that came out of Milwaukee, that Mr. Baseball, Bob Uecker, died at the age of 90, and Bob's is a life well lived, and really one of those characters in the sports world that is somewhat transcendent. You know, people remember him from Major League as the announcer, which was hilarious. And his turn as an announcer in that movie was perfectly him. Just be yourself and maybe turn it up a little bit above and beyond what you would be allowed to say. And it is Uecker. But see, as a kid, I can remember Uecker in beer commercials. I remember Uecker being making the rounds as one of the great panel guests for all late night talk shows, including Johnny Carson. That's how far back I go, in which he would come on, and it was a stretch of both humor and insight, and just a genuinely funny guy, and had the good fortune of meeting a couple of people that hung out with Uecker and told hilarious stories about how wildly inappropriate Bob Uecker could be in private, and how it was a sense of humor of a bygone era as it pertains to, say, jokes about women.
But he was in that place where he aged out and it was okay, I guess?
Yeah, well, he was great. Well, it was also innocent. It wasn't ugly. It's not like that. And Bob was, Bob didn't have a evil bone in his body, so people just, oh, Uecker, you're ridiculous, that kind of a thing. But yeah, 90 years old. And listen, I always think about it this way. I if you do something that you love and you have an opportunity to go to the ballpark, in his case, and cover the game you love, you have the good fortune of spending your life with a labor of love. You can't really be sad when someone does it and makes it to 90 and was still doing it well. Still doing it well. Still had the chops for it.
The last home run he called was Pete Alonso's. It was a dagger.
Yeah, it was a big one. That was the last one he called. You're right.
Yeah, it was an elimination game.
Yeah, he was. He's a funny guy. Go back if you're young and you don't know anything about Bob Uecker. You'll find a ton of quotes about his career. He was self-deprecating first and foremost because he was a below standard Major League Baseball player. Brief career in the major leagues, at least in terms of being a viable catcher. But he was aware of it and knowledgeable. And he really, his whole persona and character was born from the self-deprecation of just how bad he was. And in terms of like those kinds of jokes, he was asked about career highlights. Career highlights? I had 2. I got an intentional walk from Sandy Koufax, and I got out of a rundown against the Mets once. That's funny. That's just really good. But he is, I mean, that is, there are very few. Baseball seems to lend itself to it, though. We've had so many legendary announcers that ended up announcing into their 70s, 80s, and 90s. It's pretty cool.
Well, it's the sport that lends itself to it more than any other. If you're going to get up there, baseball's got the pace for you, even with the pitch clock the way it is now. Because honestly, when they were calling games in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, that's the speed of the game. You know, it's only slowed down in recent years. The best thing I could say about Uecker is I didn't realize he was only 90 because he's been around forever. I would have thought he's 94, 95, but he's just the ripe old age of 90 or was. And some awesome calls. When the Mets would go on the road to Milwaukee, I don't know if they were allowed to do this, but the TV booth would often turn on Uecker's call for a couple of pitches.
Yeah.
Which is really cool just to hear his voice.
Yeah, it is really cool. One thing, too, that he said, and I think the secret to the kind of legendary broadcasting career that he and Vin and others have had is to never lose sight of, how lucky you are and have some real appreciation for that fact. And when you hear these guys that get into their 80s in the twilight of their lives, let alone their careers, have these conversations, they all say the same things. I was looking at a quote today from Uecker in which he said, to be able to do a game each and every day throughout the entirety of a summer, to talk to people every evening at 6:30 for a night game, you become part of people's families. I know this because I get mail from those people, and they tell me that. That's part of the reward for being here, to be recognized by the way you talk, the way you describe a baseball game, whatever that is. That's cool. That's really cool, and that is a grounded sense of appreciation. So rest in peace to Bob Uecker, who had a hell of a run and got to do it all the way to 90 years of age. Chef Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
This is Jay of Paul's Termite and Pest Control. There are many companies out there selling pest treatment programs at prices which seem too good to be true. Like most things, you get what you pay for. Let's separate the fact from the fiction. Fiction. The price these companies offer includes all visits needed to keep a home pest-free. Fact. Their prices only include regular visits for exterior treatments. If you encounter pests inside your home, these companies will charge you for additional visits. Is that really pest prevention? At Paul's Termite and Pest Control, we always apply exterior treatments, but our plan includes a significant difference. Whenever you encounter an interior problem, Paul's technicians are there, usually the same day you call, and there is no extra charge. With ProShield, you'll never pay extra for providing the service we promised. Pest prevention for your home, and we'll be there as many times as needed to honor our commitment with no extra charge. Paul's Termite and Pest Control is a local company that proudly served the Tallahassee area for over 50 years.
For the elimination of termites and any other pests,
call Paul's. We'll get them all.
And we make lawns greener, too.
No matter how busy life gets, your home is the place where your family and friends show you they care and celebrate with you. That's why the professionals at Barano Heating and Air Conditioning always make sure your home is comfortable. Just like those who matter to you most, Barano will always be there for you.
This is Tyler from Barano Heating and Air. Now you can schedule an appointment, purchase or renew your service agreement, or pay your bill from your mobile device. Any day, anytime, anywhere. When you turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air, online at baranoac.com.
Florida license number CAC 1816186.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Hey, everybody, this is Shannon Young with Cross Country Mortgage. Been in the industry now for 22 years. I just made the move over to the nation's largest retail lender, Cross Country Mortgage, here to serve you in 7 states, including Florida, Georgia, Alabama, the Carolinas, Tennessee, and the state of Texas. Here to offer better service, better rates, and if you were thinking about buying or if you've been on the fence and been waiting to call me, now is the time. You can still find me at loansforknowles.com. That is, again, loansforknowles.com. I've helped thousands of fellow Knowles get into their dream home, and I can't wait to help you get into yours. Give me a call today. I'm at 954-369-6171, or go to loansforknowles.com. Again, that's 954-369-6171, and that's loansforknowles.com.
Equal housing NMLS 373031.
Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Glorious time on a Redemption Thursday, because now you turn the corner and you can feel the weight of it. You can feel that we got it. We got it. The games. I would also point out, I don't like doing this, there ain't many left. We're down to single digits in terms of total amount of football that you can watch, and that includes the national championship game on Monday. So when we get under 10 total games remaining in a season, in a sport, if you love it, there's a wee bit of sadness that permeates as well. You have to push it back. Get the hell away from me. I'm going to enjoy these games. I do that. I'm ridiculous that way. You got to know your nature. Like, I can drive. I just drove from Tampa to Tallahassee the other day. And as I'm driving, I'm listening to my music. I'm listening to podcasts. I'm listening to a book on tape. I'm occupying myself, obviously. And then there's the times during the stretch of driving where you enjoy just the silence and you think about things. But the problem for me, and I think many of you probably do this too, invariably my brain takes me down a dark path. I start off way up here, happy as can be, thinking about, isn't it going to be neat when this happens and this happens? And oh my goodness, I'll be 62 years old by the time that happens. That's crazy to think about. Oh, I'll be 54 this next year. All these things, right? And then somewhere in there, somehow my brain will be like, what if your best friend dies? Why did you do that, brain? Why did you throw that out there? Go away. Get away. I was thinking about Bryce's wedding 10 years from now, or projecting out something like that. But then there's just bizarre things. And that same thing on a much less grandiose level happens to me when sports that I love wind down. They're all culminating to a place where you're going to get to see, it's resolved, it's resolution. I've waited all year long to find out which two teams would be the combatants of the Super Bowl, who will play for the national championship, who's going to win the MVP. We ask these questions before the season begins, presumably because we want answers to those questions, and we all have an opinion as to who it's going to be and why and which team is best suited to make a run and to win the whole thing, or whatever it might be. And yet, when we finally arrive in these crucial moments and whittle it down to the most important games of the season, it's a bit of melancholy. My brain throws in it's almost over, Jeff. This wonderful ride that you've been on, it's just about over, buddy. back to life sucking for you. Like, in my brain, I'm like, no, my life doesn't suck. Why would you say that? It's bizarre because something you care about is going away. Something that you really love is going away, and I can't avoid it. So I told myself this morning, don't do that. You take these games in. You relish the opportunity to watch, well, frankly, Bills-Ravens. I mean, you do take that opportunity to embrace that game.
Oftentimes, division weekend in the NFL gives you the game of the year you want to see.
Mm-hmm.
And championship weekend might give you a couple of good matchups, but it doesn't have the same pizzazz for whatever reason as the way the bracket works out on NFL divisional weekend. And this year, once again, that is the case. Now, you could have Chiefs versus Ravens or Chiefs versus Bills.
Either one's going to be good.
That's good. But it doesn't have the same juice as this particular matchup. The only thing I would say is it's going to be so cold, an effective temperature around zero.
It could mess the game up. I thought the same thing. It's so funny. We spend a lot of time wanting these inclement weather games. You know, I have the same fit of nostalgia around the footage of the old games in the mud with the snow and all the things, you know, NFL films, right? And we've watched a lot of games that featured the weather as a prominent character. And you can go back and people remember the Fog Bowl and people remember these other games that have happened where, oh my goodness, it was -9. But I'm with you. I don't like it when we cross a certain threshold where we get to a place where you're like, I'm not real sure that each team will be allowed to shine in the way that they're capable of because it's effing zero.
Yeah, it's going to be in the teens as it stands right now. It's going to be in the teens Sunday night in Buffalo. Effective temperatures in the single digits. Not crazy wind. So that's good for offense.
That helps a lot for both sides, both quarterbacks.
There could be some snow. So you can get some snow under 20-degree weather going on there.
I'm fine with the snow. I'm fine with lots of things about it. I'm very, very excited about that matchup. There are lots of ways to look at it. I think the game that people are probably least excited about is Houston on the road at Kansas City. I will only point out that Kansas City was not an offensive juggernaut this year, but they weren't last year either, and that didn't stop them from going on their run and winning the Super Bowl. I would also point out, and I think this is probably more pertinent, that if you count the Denver game as a game off for the Chiefs, and I do, because they didn't play their starters, and promptly got blown the hell out while everybody rested comfortably on the sidelines, and you go all the way back to the last competitive game in which they had to play hard and keep their guys out there and the game was in the balance, you're talking about, Tom, upwards of 3 weeks since the Chiefs, because also the bye, have really had to play at any sort of championship level, any sort of intensity with something on the line, some ramifications of not playing well are hanging over your head, have an effect on the psyche, perhaps, you know, game pressure, as they call it. The Chiefs have had none of it for 3 weeks. The Texans just got done being told by the whole world they were going to lose to the Chargers, and they promptly dominated the Chargers and played very well on defense.
But what they needed was a broken play moment to spring everything loose and calm everybody down. We'll see what their coaching staff does, because the way they came out with their game plan was scared. They were not committed to the run. The moment it failed once, they were afraid to do it ever again. Then they went into empty sets and they couldn't protect the passer. And lo and behold, it's a broken third and long scramble play to the right where Stroud hits somebody over the middle deep down the field.
Yeah.
Then everything changes. So they were tight and tense until that moment. If they come out tentative against Kansas City, they're going to get smoked. They can't do that again. They got to be aggressive.
Yeah, they may not be good enough no matter what they do, but we'd sure like to see the best version of them. So let's make that a game. That'd be fun. Put game pressure on a team that really hasn't had any in 3 weeks. I'm just trying to give you an avenue by which that game could be interesting. Probably not. Probably not. The other Saturday game, Washington and Detroit, there's lots of potential for that to be a fireworks show. But obviously, Detroit at home, favored for a reason. And you've got a team that really offensively is a juggernaut. And defensively played well above their heads given all the injuries. And this is the reason that they have a coordinator on both sides of the ball, quite frankly, that will be head coaches when this playoff run is over. And if you're Detroit, there's the pressure to get it done now because those two gentlemen are going elsewhere. And they've both been great. Sunday's games, I actually think the Rams-Philadelphia is an underrated game. It is a very different looking ask of the Rams defense this time around against the Eagles. And then, of course, they did the right thing. They saved the best, at least in terms of quality, of these two teams for last with Baltimore and Buffalo Sunday evening at 6:30. So speaking of fending off depression, the 60 minutes clock that usually elicits it, that's tonight on 60 Minutes. You can push it back further because at 6:30 Sunday, Baltimore and Buffalo, baby. Lock it in.
And it's a holiday weekend, so you got that going for you.
I forgot. That's right. It is a holiday weekend. You're going out of town, are you not?
Yeah, I'm going to be in the Blue Ridge Mountains.
Oh, boy. Life's tough for Tom Lang, folks. Goes to his mountain house when he needs to.
That's not my
tough times for the Langs. Goodness gracious.
Siblings 50th. She's in your ballpark now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When
I can call her and talk to her about what it's like to wake up in pain for no reason. My elbow hurts today. Yeah. What hurts on you?
When I leave on Tuesday morning, it's going to be 12 up there.
12?
12. Mm-hmm.
Well, you're surrounded by the beauty.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of wealth. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Highs around 62 this afternoon. Under sunny skies, westerly winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Tonight, 39. Mainly clear tomorrow. Daytime highs approaching 64. Storms likely Saturday with highs in the upper 60s. Slight chance for showers and highs in the upper 50s on Sunday. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 60.
Well, it's a new year, and it's time to make your yard look great again. Since 2004, the Lawn Johns have been keeping Tallahassee looking beautiful. In fact, when they do such a good job on your yard, you're going to say, wow, they did a good job on my yard. If I were to rate the Lawn Johns, I would give them, just like I give myself, an A+. Everyone knows the Lawn Johns are, and I have to say, the best. So pick up the phone and call 322-2567, or you should visit them online at thelawnjohns.com.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues?
Who are you?
Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
The new year brings new health goals and wealth goals. Protecting your identity is an important step. Your info is in endless places that could expose you to identity theft, leading to lost funds. LifeLock monitors millions of data points per second. If your identity is stolen, our restoration specialists will fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Resolve to make identity health and wealth part of your New Year's goals with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit LifeLock.com. Terms apply.
There he is. Haven't seen this guy since, what was it? Oh, shoot. U2 at the Sphere in Las Vegas, baby.
Hey, how about that, man? Wasn't that fun?
Good show. Good show. Everything about it. Nearly perfect. Nearly perfect.
I had everything I could possibly want.
I wanted one thing, couldn't find it, and I looked everywhere. No Cubans.
What do you mean?
Cubans.
There was Cubans.
No, I didn't see any Cubans.
Dude, I'm sure there was Cubans there. I mean, you know.
No. I walked around. There was a moment right before the show. I thought, got to find some Cubans. Nothing.
Dude, there's Cubans. There was Cubans. I'm sure there was Cubans.
In Las Vegas?
In Las Vegas.
No Cubans in Vegas.
There's Cubans in Vegas, man.
Eddie, there were no Cubans.
Chef.
The sandwich. There were no Cuban sandwiches. You're Cuban. Of course I know there were Cubans there.
Oh, the sandwich. Yeah, no, there probably wasn't many there in Vegas.
No Cubans.
No, not yet.
Gordo, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Did not see the awfully kind gift in the chat room there from 100 Proof Football, but I just read it and it made me smile because his story is true. I did. I did help somebody. He writes, my co-host chatted with you at Gordo's last week, and per your advice, he put $500 on the Buckeyes to cover. Well done, sir. I get tired of hearing about him losing money on Russian ping pong. Cheers to you and the great T-Lang. Thanks, 100 Proof. I did. I remember the exact moment. I even said to your co-host, hey, look, man, I appreciate you asking me who I think is going to win, and I appreciate you asking me who am I putting money on. What happened, Tom, and this won't be a stretch for you to believe.
Yeah, you told him to put $500 on the game.
I did not tell him to put $500, but here's what I did tell him, and here's what happened that led to it. I sat down at my usual spot at the bar.
I was going to say, you were at Gordo's? That's breaking news.
Reserved for yours truly there, and I sat down where I have a shot of all of the televisions, and they know to quickly grab my beverage. But anyhow, I did, and I sat down and said hello to my friend I was meeting, and this gentleman was a couple of seats down, and he said, oh, hey, Cameron, how are you? And I said, oh, I'm well. And he said, what you doing there? On my phone, Tom, I'd pulled up the Hard Rock, and he saw it on the screen, I think, and I had placed some wagers, as I'm wont to do. And he said, who you got? I'm like, oh, well, just some, little things here and there. And then he was, no, who you betting on in the game? I was like, well, and I'm feeling uncomfortable because I don't like to tell other people what to do and all that stuff. And I don't want them to use me as the catalyst to bet when they wouldn't otherwise have done it. And I don't know this guy.
Yeah, because then you'll get reached out to if it doesn't come through.
Well,
you owe me my money back.
Yeah. Well, you remember reading a few of the bizarre.
That's what I'm referring to.
Yeah. So anyhow, I said, look, man, I just so you know, you don't bet what you don't have, and don't bet what I'm betting. You bet, you do you. But if you are going to bet, take Ohio State to win, and I have them to cover.
And if you bet $450, you're scared. Minimum 500 to sit at this bar at Gordo's.
I didn't say anything like that, but I did tell him to take Ohio State. Hey, buddy, I am still sitting here, speaking of my Hard Rock bet, waiting on that Ohio State national championship to come through, because right after they lost, I went all in on them to win the whole thing. I thought that was the best roster all season long. I was as perplexed as anybody else, including Ohio State fans, as to how the hell they lost to Michigan, who I'd seen play many times and won money off of because of their offensive ineptitude. I thought there's zero chance they could beat Ohio State. They can't a quarterback his ass. What are we doing? And somehow they found a way to lose the game. It will be known when they win the national championship, and they will, and they're probably going to hammer Notre Dame, in my opinion, and we'll get more into that. But it will be the catalyst for what turned in their favor to win the national championship. And so whatever sort of mind F that is for Ohio State fans to deal with it. Because if we lose to Florida and win the national championship, I don't care. I'm not so crazed about the rivalry as to turn away national championships if it serves as the reason for or the springboard to. Like, you could tell me at the start of any year, and believe me, I hate Florida and I really hate Miami. I mean, really hate Miami. But if you came to me at the start of every season and said, Jeff, here's the deal, buddy. Your team's good enough this year. We both know it. They've got real aspirations and expectations at the very least of making a playoff run, maybe even winning a national championship, and likely winning the conference. Right. We agree. We're all there. We're expectations firmly set. Okay. What's the proposition? This is the proposition. You are going to lose to Miami. They're going to upset you. You are going to be a 19-point favorite in the game because they're going to be in the midst of a 5-loss season. And you're going to be hosting the game. And you and your dad and your boys and all of your friends, they're all going to filter into that stadium expecting a thorough ass kicking is about to be delivered to the Canes. And in shock and dismay, you're going to watch as they are feeble on offense, impotent to do anything against a Miami team that has been, simply put, bad. And you're going to walk out having lost that game, angered, frustrated, questioning your coaches, all of it. But here's the kicker, man. You're going to lay waste to everybody you play from that point forward, including all of those that you see in the playoffs. Doesn't matter. Texas, anybody. You're going to kick their ass and win the national title. You signing up for that, or are you taking your chances, which I'll give you this. You could win that game against Miami, but I can't guarantee what happens next. Oh, no. Give me the loss. Give me the loss to the Canes and guarantee that I'm going to lay the wood against everybody from that point forward in the playoff and take home in the national title. Who wouldn't sign up for that? Who wouldn't be like, yep, that'll work? Like, maybe after 3 straight national championships with 3 straight losses to Miami as heavy favorites, going into that 4th year, you might go, yeah, we need to beat Miami. I'm about tired of this. Maybe.
I think you get 9 in a row. As long as they don't get the Bohica, the platinum level, we're good.
Well, I mean, all I'm telling you is...
Give me 9 national championships. You lose 9 straight to a 5-loss Miami team.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of becomes funny at that point. Oh, you got us again.
Yep. As you scratch your face with 9 rings. Yeah, I mean, it's... I don't know. All of it is silly. He should not have lost the game. It is a bad look. It is perplexing to see how it was possible. But if they go ahead and win the national title, and they said it themselves, this isn't my opinion. The players and coaches alike have talked about it was the moment that brought them all together, the big speeches, the fiery. They're all doubting us nonsense that we hear from athletes all the time. Whatever floats your boat, man. Placebos work sometimes, just whatever it has to be. And if that's what you think did it and you play like it, who cares?
It would be hilarious, not for your wager, but just for life. If Notre Dame had the ball for 39 minutes in this game on Monday night and won by 3, because then Ohio State is stuck. Ryan Day has done enough. He's done enough. You got to keep him, but you're not going to be happy about it.
Yeah, it's a toughie. If they lose to this Notre Dame team, who, by the way, offensively challenged and very banged up. That offensive line has been riddled with injury all year, and now they're adding to it. It truly is an amazing job that Marcus Freeman has done with all of the injuries they've had and a pedestrian quarterback, to say the least. When your number one attribute as a quarterback is that you're tough, come on, man.
Well, that's what I was saying last year before we played Duke when they came to town. I'm like, man, everybody's talking about this Riley Leonard guy. He can make plays, and he's a nightmare to prepare for as a linebacker or a safety because he runs.
Yeah.
But let's not pretend like he's like some sort of aerial assault guy.
No, he's not Josh Allen.
No. What's funny, though, is, you glossed over it earlier, but the Washington-Detroit NFL game has the same setup as the Monday night national championship game, which is the underdog's offense has to hold the ball forever. That was a huge part to Washington advancing out of Tampa. Yeah, Tampa's mistakes play a role, but Tampa had 7 possessions in that football game. That has a whole lot to do with it. You scored 4 out of 7
You can't slip up and fumble on your 12 with one of your 7 possessions.
No, that's 1 out of 7 times you have the football. And Detroit probably needs to be somewhere between 7 and 9 max possessions in that game for Washington to have a chance, even though he's not Riley Leonard. He can do it all. Daniels can do it all. In a way, you don't want to get into a possession fest with Detroit because you probably are going to lose that game. Do you know Tampa's success rate in the drop back pass on Sunday night? The success rate in all drop back passes was the highest measured in an NFL game this century. It's over 63% success rate on drop back passes.
Yeah.
Not a good sign for Washington's defense if Detroit gets 10, 11, 12%.
Well, right, because you have a quarterback that will pick you to pieces as a drop back passer with weapons galore. Yeah, no, it doesn't bode well. There's a reason Detroit is heavily favored. The path for Washington to beat Detroit is, 38-35. That they have to hope that they're able to light up a Detroit defense that prior to that end of the year game against Minnesota
basketball.
There it is.
Well, he was in town last night. Shut up. He's one of us.
That was one of the best moments ever. What an ass. Yelled shut up to his own fan. Yeah.
And then he sprinted across the court at the next time out. Stop it. Shut up. He's one of us.
Man, that is one of those moments where you want somebody close to him to say, you're doing too much. He knows you love him. He gets it. He was here, as you say. He understands the fan base. He gets what this is all about. Just what are you doing? You need the world to see you like him.
You can either have the just for men or you can pull off antics like this. Not both. Can't do both.
Just why would you ever do the latter? Just let it go, man. Okay, they're going to chide the opposing coach. Typically, admittedly, it's nothing profane. It's just going to be them getting under the skin of the away team.
He played basketball for us. He coached basketball for us.
Oh, man. Which of these games are you most excited about? Baltimore, Buffalo? Did I get that right? I assume so.
Yeah, but I do think the Washington-Detroit game is interesting.
So do I think the Rams-Philadelphia game is interesting if they're not affected too much by the weather.
Yeah.
I do worry about, that situation with an LA team that's, a warm weather team going on the road playing outdoors in 18-degree weather against a team that wants to run the ball and bludgeon you.
I feel like that's the most physical game not named Baltimore and Buffalo on the card this weekend is the other Sunday game. Saturday I really think the Kansas City-Houston game could be weird. You could see it being 27-10, 17-10.
Well, that's because that's all Kansas City plays is weird games typically.
Yeah, and their offense has been unspectacular this entire, if that's a word.
It's one of the reasons that besides the fact of the constant winning, truth be told, one of the frustrations people feel who otherwise would be indifferent about Kansas City and Mahomes and Andy Reid and Kelsey and the crew, one of the agitations, I think, is that when you watch them, they look at times ordinary. Like frequently, they look completely ordinary, and they find themselves in precarious positions against teams they have no business being in close games with. And you're sitting there week after week after week going, really? 13-13 late in the third against the Carolina Panthers, are we? At home. Or you look up, Raiders are beating the Chiefs in the fourth. The Raiders are beating the Chiefs in the fourth. Look at this. But much to your chagrin, if you're not a Chiefs fan, if you are, then you smile and know you got them just where you want them. But if you're not, you go, these sons of bitches are going to win again. This guy's going to make this field goal as time expires, and they're going to escape 20-19.
Or they could end like the 2014 Seminoles and get destroyed once they get to the playoffs.
That's the hope.
Well, they had it coming.
Yeah. Messed around and found out finally.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's – you hope. You hope that's what's going to happen. I just don't know that the Texans are equipped to do so is the other part of this.
But you're right. It could be 6:15 on Saturday. Say, they're going to do this again, aren't they, Kansas City?
Oh, sure. Lest we forget, though, I do remember one of the better playoff games and oddities that we've seen is, and correct me on my score, but weren't the Texans up on the Chiefs in Kansas City in the playoffs by like 21 or 24 in the first half? And Kansas City came all the way back, and it wasn't even close. They ended up smoking Houston.
Yes, that's correct.
But I think it was like 21 or 24 points where you're like, well, this is getting weird. This is like, now I'm starting to think this is a problem. But then they fumbled a kick or a punt or something. You're like, here we go. Always with that.
At that point, you could have gone out and played 9 holes
yeah.
and come back. You already know what the score is. They came back. Yeah, they did. I know.
We had fun with the little thing that we did on the show of teams that have no business beating your team and how it happens and the way the announcers call the game. And there are certain phrases you hear because it's a part of any great upset or really annoying outcome. It's like, boy, they really had a hard time in the red zone today. Oh, is that ball loose? They say they got it. we did this whole thing.
Oh, yes. They're already talking about future games in the conference standings.
Oh, yeah.
When they play Miami in about 3 weeks' time. Now that's going to be a big Pitt believes they have the ball. Hang on a minute here.
Yeah, well, they're already talking to me. Yeah,
they're in the scrum there. Did he fumble?
They did get it. Oh, well, isn't that interesting? They got a chance to make it a 2-score game at half. You're like, yes, they do.
Signs of life here.
Yeah.
Pitt. Like, you hear their voice. They're not in it yet either.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're showing a lot of fight here. And then the next possession when they score. What do we have here, everybody?
Yeah, you get the proclamation and you're at home throwing things like, what we have here is a disaster, a recipe for a huge upset and a game we're favored by 24. Nice. This is great. I've got to sit and I'm going to squirm for the next 2 hours as I watch the last quarter and a half or 2.5 quarters.
And I don't know that we added this, but this always happens in that scenario. Okay, now it's down to 1 score. And you hit an explosive play, and it's over the 50-yard line.
Yeah.
It's not a penalty. It's you're starting to feel good. Oh, and a Pitt player has gone down. Oh, looks like he's grabbing at his leg there. It's because they're delaying. They want to stop it.
Yeah.
We'll be right back after this.
Like,
well, we were going to score on that drive, but they're going to fake some injuries here. They're going to pull Lane Kiffin, and it's going to be a 3.5-minute television timeout.
But I will also add to the fact that there is invariably a long explosive play that is indeed called back, but somehow it's allowed to play out and the flag is nowhere within your range of vision on the screen. And so the thing happens and you're celebrating, and even the announcers are fooled because it's a late flag, of course. And they're like, well, and that's 52 yards on the play and the Noles are in. Oh, hold on. There's a flag way back at the line of scrimmage. Oh, this could be coming back, Tom.
Everybody, this is Shannon Young with Cross Country Mortgage. Been in the industry now for 22 years. I just made the move over to the nation's largest retail lender, Cross Country Mortgage, here to serve you in 7 states, including Florida, Georgia, Alabama, the Carolinas, Tennessee, and the state of Texas. Here to offer better service, better rates, and if you were thinking about buying or if you've been on the fence and been waiting to call me, now is the time. You can still find me at loansfornoles.com. That is, again, loansfornoles.com. I've helped thousands of fellow Noles get into their dream home, and I can't wait to help you get into yours. Give me a call today. I'm at 954-369-6171, or go to loansfornoles.com. Again, that's 954-369-6171, and that's loansfornoles.com.
Equal housing NMLS 373031.
The best happy hour in the city is at Café de Martín and El Bar. All day, every day, you can find great deals at Café de Martín while enjoying the best outdoor seating Tallahassee has to offer. Sip away on 2-for-1 house wines, chilcanos, and margaritas all day long, Monday through Thursday. Plus 2-for-1 pisco sours and margaritas on Fridays and Saturdays, and 2-for-1 mimosas for Sunday brunch. Come join us at Café de Martín, where every hour is happy hour, in the Esposito Shopping Center on Capitol Circle Northeast.
222-7722. AC and electric is what we do.
Hi, this is Jeremy Parker, owner of Parker Services AC and Electrical. As we welcome the new year, I want to take a moment to thank you, our loyal customers, for trusting us to keep your homes in Tallahassee, Crawfordville, and the surrounding areas comfortable throughout the seasons. It's been our honor to serve you in 2024, and we look forward to providing the same dependable service in 2025. From everyone at Parker Services, we wish you and your family a happy, healthy, and comfortable new year. Here's to new beginnings and lasting comfort.
222-7722.
Florida license CMC 050334 and EC 130144434.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take-home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus, happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT, Greta, Tallahassee. Your Sports Flash update on Real Talk 93.3, brought to you by Fulmar's Pawn, Gun and Gold. More than you might expect with 2 great locations in Tallahassee.
College basketball, Florida State beat the Pitt Panthers on Wednesday night in Tallahassee, 82-70. They held the Panthers to 37% shooting for 17 turnovers. The Noles got 26 points from Jameer Watkins. Malik Ewan scored 18 with 13 rebounds. Florida State will face Georgia Tech on Saturday, now at 12-5 on the season. Florida hosting the Texas Longhorns on Saturday night in Gainesville, looking to bounce back after losing to Missouri on Tuesday. That dropped them to 15-2 on the season, as Florida is ranked 5th in the latest AP poll. NBA, the Orlando Magic fell to Milwaukee on Wednesday night, 122-93. The Magic have lost 5 of their last 8. Paulo Banchero led Orlando with 22 points. Wendell Carter added 12. They'll wrap up the 2-game trip Friday in Boston. This sports update brought to you by Flomar's Pawn, Guns, and Gold. More than you might expect. I'm Tony Desiri, Real Talk 93.3.
This sandwich is not just spicy, it's flavorful.
Hi, this is Matayo, and this is Elsa. And a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A Grilled Spicy Deluxe Sandwich is that spicy kick, because the spice comes in at just the right moment.
Oh, no. A little thing I love is that cilantro lime sauce. It's a fun blend of zesty and bold. That's what really makes me happy. Are you going to eat all your fries?
Order a Chick-fil-A Grilled Spicy Deluxe Sandwich and a Diet Dr. Pepper on the Chick-fil-A app for a limited time. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language, like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel. Go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's BABBEL.com.
Time. It's the one thing we never get back. We can't create it. We can't buy it. We can't store it somewhere. Once it's gone for good, which makes it the most valuable thing we have. The only real question is how we spend our time. So, how much time are you spending every day running in circles with a computer network using old software on old equipment that's wasting your time, that gets in the way and leaves you feeling angry and frustrated? Let's fix that. Call Crown Networking. They've been helping people just like you and I make the best use of their time for the last 20 years. Now is the time for you to make the call. Here's the number in Tallahassee, 850-999-0090, 999-0090, or online at crownnetworking.com. Oh, and talk to them about getting you a new phone system, too. You know, it's time.
Dream it, plan it, do it. Brian Barnard's Flooring America offers a straightforward way to shop with our streamlined shopping. Finding the right flooring is simple. Visit our newly remodeled showroom featuring the Room to Explore shopping experience, where our knowledgeable staff will walk you through the steps. Our family has been serving the area since 1976 with a local staff of more than 35 people trained in flooring sales and design. We know floors, and we know styles. Let us help make your home timeless. Brian Barnard's Flooring America, where friends send friends.
Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
back from the mountain vacay there. That's it's going to be.
Hey man, I'm flying back, so I don't
so you
need
don't have to worry
none of
about it. Well, I don't think it's going to prohibit you from.
If it dusted here, what would it do up there?
I think you'll be all right. I think they'll be able to handle it. But I never get my hopes up. I always root for it, but I know it's not going to happen. We're gonna get screwed. It won't happen. Really quickly, just because it made me laugh, and we talked about it on yesterday's show, and I had thrown out there that, as you well know, I suspected that Bill Belichick would never coach for North Carolina. Now, some of what I had to say was tongue-in-cheek. But there was... But yeah, right. No, it was born from a real suspicion that I don't know that thing is going to play out the way the folks at North Carolina think it is. And I kept thinking about how Bill would... That's his fallback plan. He's with his side chick. That's not who he wants to be with. He's waiting for the other phone call from the one that he'd like to be with. And in the interim, yeah, we'll go to dinner and have some fun. Whatever. All right, cutes. Let's do it.
Cutes?
Yeah, something ridiculous. Something absurd. Come on, sweet cheeks. We're going out to dinner. But,
Of course, you could get the flaming volcano. Fine.
But he doesn't want to be there. It's just,
Put the umbrella in your ear. Fine.
Now we're on to the bedroom. He's just,
why the umbrella's worth it.
Yeah,
Nothing
he's
else.
just wearing it. Yeah, that's what's going on. So he's waiting for the other one to call. And that's the suspicion that I've had. Like, he doesn't really want North Carolina. North Carolina's not pretty enough for him. Now, I did the whole bit on the show, and then here we go. I got a tweet early this morning, Tom. You were right, Campster. With a link to this story. It's everywhere now as the hours went by. Bill Belichick's North Carolina contract is not signed. Opening up consequential questions about a $10 million buyout. Your boy's on top of these things well in advance. I said, man, what? It seems like he should be hiring his assistants. Where are they? What's going on? So now we'll see.
He did hire 2 more assistants yesterday, though.
He did. I just think it's funny. There's a thou protest too much element to this. You saw Lombardi, who he's hired as his GM, tweeting out to everybody, Bill is currently recruiting in Washington, D.C. and Baltimore. There is no NFL possibility. Stop acting as if there is. Well, goodness, you are awfully touchy about this subject. For something that can't happen, you felt the need to race to social media.
I don't think signing day is in an hour. What, do you get negatively recruited against?
It made me laugh. I'm like, why is he doing it? Because he's sitting in his office going, why won't he text me back? Who? Bill. I've texted him several times. I'd like to know when we're going to begin the operation of running a football team here at North Carolina. He won't respond.
You know what? I'm going to go tweet to control him. Because if I tweet about it, that forces him.
It'll get back to him.
That's right. That's what I can do.
Presently, according to many articles today, the AP, CBS, Sports, you name it, there's not a fully executed and signed contract between Belichick and North Carolina. The school confirmed that this week. And that's odd. Does that not strike you as odd? I mean, can we just start there? Why not? Why isn't the contract signed? You had a press conference announcing he was hired.
We're not engaged, but we go out all the time. He stays over 3 times a week.
It strikes me as odd that you have the press conference in which he's shaking the athletic director's hand wearing North Carolina blue and being announced as the head coach, and yet there's not a signed contract. What? And even if you had said or chalked that up to, well, it was hurried. They knew, both parties did in principle, that the deal was done. They wanted to present him and get him out there to help recruiting and build momentum. And, at that time they hadn't signed it. Well, why haven't they now? It's the 16th of January. What are we waiting on?
He didn't have to hold a press conference. He could have just put out a graphic if it wasn't signed.
Industry sources say that could create a legal gray area about how much, if any, of a buyout would exist if Belichick left for the pros. You don't say. He had signed a proposal sheet on December the 11th, which laid out the basic, typical terms for a college football coach, a high-level coaching job. A gap of multiple months between the signing of a term sheet and a financial contract being executed is somewhat commonplace, according to sources. Belichick later on said, when asked about his situation at North Carolina, this was not today, this was at the time that he was announced as the next head coach, he was asked about NFL possibilities and jobs that may be offered to him in the coming weeks, because at that time, people were getting fired. The season was winding down. And his answer to that was, well, I didn't come here to leave, which is kind of a nothing answer, but that's what he said.
Anyway, we're on to Cincinnati.
We'll see what happens. Maybe nothing happens. Maybe he's going to be North Carolina's head coach, and maybe he's going to be there for years and be highly successful. Perhaps he's going to do all of those things. I've just thought it felt off this whole time, and I wanted to say it. I wanted to put it on record. Now, I didn't think we'd get to a point where a few days after I said it, they would announce that he hadn't even signed a damn contract. That would have further emboldened my rant the other day.
Lombardi calls Belichick, hey, are you still on the road recruiting?
Yeah, what's going on?
Yeah, absolutely. Is that a grill I hear in the background? No. Where are you? I'm in the airport. Come on now.
Bill.
Trust me, Lombardi.
Bill, your Life 360 says you're back in New England. Who are we recruiting in? No.
That's just where my phone is. Yeah. That's not where I am.
Oh, man. There would be a legal dispute if he were to leave without having signed the deal, to say the least, is the other part of this. People want to know, like, what would the buyout be and what has to happen and what would happen in North Carolina. What a weird situation. I just know if we were in that situation, if you put the shoe on our foot and said, hey, your coach that you announced and had a press conference for hasn't signed the deal yet, and it's rumored to be interviewed by a couple of NFL teams, I'd be getting damn well nervous. Wouldn't you?
Yeah, if I'm a North Carolina fan, I'd be saying, it's almost like we don't matter. How is this possible?
We're getting played.
First the conference, then our basketball team falls apart. Now Belichick. I loved calling him Chapel Bill. What the hell?
It was cute. It was cute while it lasted. You could all wear Chapel Bill shirts.
It's almost like people don't value us.
That would be really, really funny. Well played, Noel Dad. I'm recruiting in the Bahamas. There's a part of me that does want him to coach at North Carolina, though. I'm not going to lie. I would love to go to ACC kickoff this year in Charlotte and have Bill Belichick on Radio Row. We did today a follow-up of headlines. It's in the headlines feed. You can find it. It's an hour long, and we answered some headliner questions because we didn't get a chance to do it, and we wanted to thank our sponsors and all that stuff the other day.
Video going live at 4 podcast feeds. Yes, you're correct. It's already there.
It's already there. So this subject came up. Somebody asked about, would Bill Belichick be on Radio Row in Charlotte? And I would think that he would have to be, and he would loathe it because he hates doing that sort of thing. But if I get the good fortune of sitting across from Bill Belichick, I'm going to ask him nothing about North Carolina because I care not about UNC, and he won't be there long. I'm going to ask him about Dave Halberstam's book, Education of a Coach, which I read years and years ago, because it has incredible stories of him being a young man sitting in with Bill Walsh and designing plays and watching film and going on the road with his father, scouting for Navy and talking about, his days as an assistant coach with all these. It's an awesome book. He's going to sit down. I'm going to ask him about the book. I'm not going to ask him one thing about North Carolina.
No, you'll call him to attention just like you did Adazio. What can you really achieve at Boston College with your opening question to Adazio? What you'll say to Belichick is, look, Bill, I know you don't care about North Carolina. Right. Neither do I.
Neither do I. Let's save each other some time. Let's get into some good stuff here.
We can share in our indifference about North Carolina in this moment and talk about something fun. You ready? Okay, let's go. 3, 2, 1. What you got? Call to coach. Talk to me.
Will Shepard, that's well done, my friend. Just because it's also fun to do that. I think Dennis Miller is in the audience. Dennis, if you could raise your hand if you're out there.
Dennis? No? He's not?
No.
Oh, I'm sure he'll be here shortly.
Yeah, he's not coming. He was never going to be here.
We love the CW.
That actually was one of the most wonderful blunders of all time, to get up there and presume that your guy at the CW is there to hear your speech, but not know for sure, and then attempt to announce him to the audience.
Dennis, they do wonderful work, cutting edge with Liv and all that. Liv
Oh,
golf.
That's right. When he did that, I remember thinking his handlers had to have been like, what are you doing, man?
Jim, you just got done talking about being a father to student-athlete daughters. And we're going to talk about Liv right after?
Which is not the most popular thing in the world.
Cutting edge. Just market
No, but
leading.
I like the shading his eyes because of the camera lights, looking for Dennis in the sea of reporters. Dennis. There's no Dennis. You keep looking forever. Dennis is not there. He's never going to be there. He doesn't care about you or the ACC.
He never accepted the plane ticket?
Dennis, can you stand up, please? He's standing up at home, laughing at your ass right now.
Jim, where is Dennis Miller right now? This year's Commissioner's Forum.
First question. Jeff of Warchant.com. Hey, Jim, where is Dennis?
You're wearing a T-shirt that just says, where is Dennis? With a giant question mark.
Dennis Miller, you were looking for him last year at this time? Have you ever found Dennis? Dennis, are you here? Is Dennis available to stand, Jim? Oh, he's not here again? What happened to Dennis? Did Dennis exist?
Did you just think of the first comedian that popped into your mind?
Oh, I can't segue from that, so we'll end the segment. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
This is Alex from Fulmer's. We've been buying gold and silver jewelry, fine watches, and other collectibles for over 45 years. But did you know Fulmer's buys and sells gold and silver coins, bars, and bullion? Don't get scammed online or pay high shipping and handling fees. Call or stop by Fulmer's for a quick and easy quote. No matter if you're new to investing in bullion or have been collecting a lifetime, Fulmer's is your local source for buying, selling gold and silver coins and bullion. Fulmer's, more than you might expect, with 2 great locations.
As you probably know, Fulmer's buys, sells, and loans on just about anything of value. What you might not know is that when you buy something from us, we guarantee the total satisfaction of your purchase. Buy it, take it home, and if for any reason you decide you don't want it within 7 days, Fulmer's will give you 100% of your money back. And if you decide you don't want the item within 30 days, Fulmer's will let you exchange it for something you do want. At Fulmer's, we guarantee you're going to be happy with your purchase or we'll buy it back. Fulmer's, check cashing, pawn service, and sales. 2 times more than you might expect, with 2 great locations.
This announcement is brought to you by Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey.
If you're driving right now, you should know there's an 80% chance that the cars all around you don't carry any bodily injury insurance. Most people don't realize it, but in Florida, all the law requires is that drivers carry property damage insurance. This means that the texting teen drifting over into your lane or the drag racer on your rear bumper have no way of compensating you or your loved ones when they cause a crash. And this should scare the hell out of you. Fortunately, there's an easy way to protect your family from this, and it's called uninsured motorist coverage. It's an absolute must, but a lot of insurance companies are convincing folks to drop it just to save a few dollars. Take it from the personal injury experts. Don't. At Fonville Lewis Messer McConaughey, We've recovered millions of dollars in uninsured motorist coverage and crashes where our clients would have otherwise received nothing. So please, call your agent right now and make sure you have uninsured motorist coverage on your policy. We hope you'll never need it, but we'll be here for you if you ever do. Fonville, Lewis, Messer, McConaughey. Don't settle for less.
I'm Caleb. I'm the lawn supervisor at Paul's Termite and Pest Control, and I really do love my job. Paul's has created an incredible work environment that always puts our customers' needs first. Their needs are our concerns, and my particular job of improving the health of North Florida lawns is something I truly enjoy. I'm an outdoor person, and I get to be outside all day, watching the lawns run through the stages full of weeds to weedless to lush, grass-filled landscapes is very rewarding. I'm proud to represent Paul's.
I'm Jay. Having the privilege to work with people like Caleb and all of our employees is truly an honor. There is no doubt that the staff of Paul's Termite and Pest Control is the best in our industry. All of our people are local, and local really does mean something. We are North Floridians. Our kids go to school here. We shop here. We build relationships here, and we honor our commitments. To all of our customers, thanks for trusting us to protect your family, pets, and home.
For the elimination of termites, any other pests, and a greener lawn too, call Paul's. We'll get them all.
The best happy hour in the city is at Café de Martín and El Bar. All day, every day, you can find great deals at Café de Martín while enjoying the best outdoor seating Tallahassee has to offer. Sip away on 2-for-1 house wines, chilcanos, and margaritas all day long, Monday through Thursday. Plus 2-for-1 pisco sours and margaritas on Fridays and Saturdays, and 2-for-1 mimosas for Sunday brunch. Come join us at Café de Martín, where every hour is happy hour, in the Esposito Shopping Center on Capitol Circle Northeast.
Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50. For those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Well done, sir. We've both had our moments.
Yeah.
To sprint to get behind the mic as the break ends.
That had a little hoppy hop to it.
Just a little quick.
Yeah.
I didn't have to do any real.
That wasn't turning the corner.
No burst.
I'd turn the corner and go.
Yeah, you had to gun it.
There was a U-turn element to it.
I was trying to preserve my wind. You didn't have to.
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm not speaking out the gate. You start the segments. Should the back of the shirt have Dennis?
With just a question mark.
Dennis and then no, or just Dennis?
It should have Dennis question mark.
And then not a no question mark? No.
No Dennis? No.
No.
It should say, where's Dennis on the front of the shirt?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Or it could be Dennis with a question mark. Just Dennis and a question mark. Or where's Dennis? And then on the back, so the front could be where's Dennis, and the back could be Dennis with a question mark.
Yeah, right.
The follow-up.
Where is Dennis without quotations? On the back, it's quotations.
Yeah,
Dennis.
It would be such a... Yeah, that would be very unique of the show. If you wore that, you would know that you were part of this community, the Jeff Cameron Show community. I would laugh every time I saw it. We'd always sell like 100 of them. It would be hilarious.
You know what? That would be fantastic. And we would give somebody, I don't know, a free shirt or two if they could get Where is Dennis on game day. And if they showed up in the background of game
somebody
day,
holds up a sign on game day, where's Dennis? Jim, where is Dennis?
They have to let that sign in. That's perfect.
That was fun. That was fun. Hey, really quickly, by the way, this is tonight. This is happening shortly. This I will be at. I hope you will be too if you get the chance, if you're interested. If not, I understand that too. But my friends at the Florida Guardian ad litem office, yes, they're going to do really a gathering, if you will, in order to inform. It's Circuit 2, Guardian Ad Litem office. They've reached out to me. It's a social and recruitment event. I mean, no doubt that's what they're doing. They would like you to be there to ask questions about what is asked of you. They're going to do it at Momo's, North Side Momo's. That would be Market Street area there. Get some pizza, mingle with the Guardian Ad Litem volunteers, mentors, and staff. And you can chit-chat with me. And really, I'll be there to answer any questions as well. And if you guys want to talk sports, that's fine too. Like, whatever you want to do. I'll be there for about an hour tonight. The event begins at 5:30. It goes to 7:30. So maybe I'm there an hour and a half. I can't remember. But I'm going to be there. And I'd love to see you, especially if you have interest in something like this, which is a wonderful, wonderful cause. They need more male volunteers. That's in essence what I'm telling you. They need a lot more male volunteers. They have plenty of female volunteers. They don't have enough male volunteers. And, a lot of these young kids, young men need male role models, and they're asking for you to come out and help in any way that you can and learn more about it. You'll find that it's not that much of a drain on your time. So feel free to swing on by if you can. Momo's Market Street location, 5:30. Look forward to it. I was very surprised. I'll admit this very quickly. I was very surprised that when the last one of these they had, I think about a year ago, maybe a little bit more than a year ago now, I honestly, people are busy. We're also busy, and everybody's got their busy lives that they're leading. They're raising kids. They're going to their wife's thing. Their wife's going to their thing. They're going to an event. They're going to play golf after work, whatever they're going to do. And so I thought, people won't show up all that much because you're asking of their time. And I think they got like 4 or 5 volunteers out of it last time.
Oh, that's awesome.
It is awesome. Yeah.
Well, go there and treat yourself to a slice of jalapeno and sun-dried tomato. That's the combo. Jalapeno, sun-dried tomato. Sweet and spicy.
I got to admit, I really do like jalapeno and sun-dried tomato. Independent of your love of that, I get that each time I go.
Is that right?
I do. I've always loved it.
Fascinating.
Isn't it? We didn't know that about each other.
Spider-Man.
Yeah. You're like, hey. If we were sitting at the restaurant and didn't know each other, I'd say that gentleman's got great taste.
I would think I'm on camera. Yeah, I think I'm on the old candid camera. It's a prank. Nobody orders jalapeno sun-dried tomato.
Yeah, it's good. Tasty. Going to be a good time. 2 weeks, writes Brett, until the ESPN announcement as to what they're going to do with the ACC television contract. Let's hope they break it. Let's hope they say, we don't like it. We're going to renegotiate the contract. That's really what this is about. They're not going to just drop the inventory, but they could rearrange, and they could decide that the contract is not going to extend to such and such date, and it is not worth what we were paying, in the past. So we're going to renegotiate. We're going to change the contract, which could open the doors to Florida State's argument about the contract not being
so sometime
sustainable.
It was 2030 was the rumor last time that maybe it's a soft landing for 2030 instead of 2036. That makes so much sense, just revisiting that idea, because the Big Ten's deal is up in 2030. ESPN's definitely going to want a piece of it. They don't want to be left out of that conversation, and they can trade out playoff rights for Big Ten access, I would think, at that point. The SEC deal has an opt-out in 2030, and they likely would exercise that option. So ESPN's going to need all the capital that it can get past the year 2030. And if they can run off some ACC money and turn it into an extra Big Ten game a week or an expanded deal with the SEC moving forward, that just makes a ton of monetary sense for them. I just don't see there's any way that ESPN opts into a deal through 2036. Doesn't make sense for them. That's not rooting for it because I need Florida State to get out of the conference. It's just when you're looking at the next seismic moment for the sport, I think they would like to have more liquid cash on hand to be able to say yes to more things and to come up for a Big Ten deal where they could put them on 4 different networks and ESPN at least gets a piece of the pie.
Well, I hope any of that or all of it happens, Tom. Yes, absolutely, because I do think it would only embolden Florida State's lawyers and others to further push the idea that the contract's not valid. It's been changed. But my fear is that we're going to come around to that date, and it's going to come and go, and we're not going to have anything concrete again, and there's just going to be a letdown or feeling a sense of this is never going to end. We don't have anything new for you. It's frustrating.
So what happened? We'll get to February 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th. Hello, what happened? Did they exercise it? What's the deal?
Well, I will say this. None of this was, or the consternation and the angst that fans, Florida State fans in particular, feel about this issue was further bolstered by the flowery language and non-committal to leaving the last time the athletic director spoke publicly on the issue. Well, we never said we wanted to. Oh, okay. Here we go. That feels an awful lot like somebody about to acquiesce to something that not too long ago they were standing firmly up against.
Yeah, well, it could be if you look at it this way. If you're not free and clear, but you have 2030, the conferences might tell you through back channels, of course, the other conferences, look, man, everybody's making moves in 2030. Hang tight. I mean, we would take you now, but do you really want to go through the legal battles until 2030? Why don't y'all just settle, take a higher payment for the next 4 years, and then we'll reorganize this whole thing in 4 seats? I'm hoping that's not the case. Because, again, if 2030 is now the end date, let's just say ESPN changed the terms. And what's the ACC going to do? Say no?
Right.
Let's say they say 2030. The buyout becomes all the more manageable. Even if you were on the ACC's terms.
Because you're that much closer to the end.
You're that much closer to the termination date.
Yeah.
For a lump sum pay, get out of here.
It just would make us look like fools, and that you misread the tea leaves completely. At a time where you're also overextended across the board. You added to your plate of financial woes by filing a lawsuit. It wouldn't be a good look.
You're correct. In this moment, it isn't a good look, but we always couch that with the lawyers are telling everybody to shut up because this thing is playing out in the courts. So you have to use flowery language at times. It's just don't gaslight. Don't do that. You can say that we have always efforted to be a part of this conference, but there's a reason we're in the situation we're in. Not we never wanted to leave. Big difference.
Yeah.
Big difference.
Have you rather enjoyed the sprawl that is the bowl season and what it's become? This is by far and away the longest and largest span of days from beginning to end for a college football bowl season. And you got to go back to find a weird set of circumstances where there is something similar back to 1970, in fact. But this is the longest on modern record by far. It's the only bowl season that's lasted longer than 25 days. It's going to be 38 days. I'm fine with it because I love college football and I'm okay with all of this. But I do remember the days in which we'll never subject our student athletes to an 11-game season. We'll never subject our student athletes, for safety concerns, of course, Tom, and they're all students as well, to a 12-game season. I mean, goodness gracious, if you played all 12 and had a great record, you might be in line to play a 13th. We would never have or allow for a 13-game regular season. My God, I thought 10 was pushing the envelope, to be honest with you. But 13, that is blatant disregard for the safety of our student athletes. Yeah, well, this will be 16. It's an NFL season with a postseason about as long. And it feels like it. I don't know how I can say all at once that I've embraced this and liked it and at the same time thought, get it over already. Maybe because we're not in it.
It could be part of it. But if you were a Florida State student and Florida State was in, and an athlete, of course, and you were in the national championship game, the game would occur 12 days after ad drop closes.
Yes.
Now, you could have already graduated. You could be wanting to transfer, but you're going to be a part of that national championship team. You would be 12 days into the semester. So what do? Do you sign up for classes that you never show up to for 2 weeks in the spring semester? This is the least I've ever watched bowl season, ever, since being an adult.
But you're in the minority.
I am. I know.
You are absolutely in the minority. These two teams are staring down their 16th game of the year. It will tie them with fellow Final Four teams Texas and Penn State for the most any FBS team has played in a season since 1899. What were they doing in 1899? Forsaking student safety, I can tell you that. That's really a lot. Anyhow, we knew the expanded bowl playoff was going to happen. It's a bloating. The 2024-2025 bowl season, as I said before, will have spanned 38 days as of Monday night. The playoff itself will have spanned more than a month just in the playoff. 32 days of playoff football. Bowl season spans nearly 6 weeks this year. 6 weeks. It's the only bowl season that has lasted longer than 25 days, almost exactly double the 19 one-day average span that college football featured before the 14 playoff in 2014. 43, most total bowl games ever, by the way, Tom. We thought they were going to go away. There's been 43. That's the most of any season on record.
Well, what I would tell you is for the viewing public, this is the place where it's the most different for us in the industry and the viewing public. Is in December with all the transfer portal stuff and signing day being in the middle somewhere, some years is early, some years is later. That's why I don't watch the bowls. I'm so over it because you're on call at all times to see if somebody's going to enter the portal or if they're going to come to Florida State and announce. And so you're dialed in at all times for this Florida State news. I don't care about Toledo versus Ohio in a bowl game. Whereas in previous years, if there's no concern on that level, bring it on. This is the fun part of the year where you get the reward of just watching a bunch of football. But the one thing that could help, the AFCA, this is from Ross Dellinger and others, the AFCA head coaches are proposing to move the transfer portal to a 10-day window beginning in early January.
Yeah, and the coaches are in favor of it, but there is pushback legally that it will not hold up.
Of course there is, but if something like that could at least exist.
Well, every time something common sense does get posited by coaches who would like to rein in and find some common sense for what's going on in college football, it is quickly struck down by the courts because they didn't. I mean, we know why. We know what's happened. The NCAA blew it, and none of this is. They're not employees yet, but the terms are that of an employee, and therefore restricting and it's not going to work.
I think it could hold up. This is just total off the street layman's logic, but I think it could hold up if you continue to have a spring window. Because what the head coaches are asking for is a 10-day transfer window in January and at no other time. You can't have a post-spring camp, post-spring semester window, which that's not realistic. You have to give them another option down the line on the calendar. But if you could move that thing off of December, and then December is all about conference championships, signing day, bowl games, and playoff, that returns to at least some facsimile of what it used to be. And it'll be easier to watch bowl games because you don't have to worry about your players leaving every 5 minutes or committing to a different university.
Have you gone through, and there have been articles written about this, including one that was written by Neil Payne that cracked me up on college football, the most absurd college football bowls. And they went through and did the math of and these bowls that have long since been forgotten, but it's right after 1985 when you begin to see rampant corporate bowl naming rights come into play. So Peach Bowl's not the Peach Bowl anymore. Sugar Bowl's not the Sugar Bowl anymore. It is such and such at the Sugar Bowl or whatever it might be. And the name length of some of the bowls and who the sponsors were, and then they have the it's funny. It's funny. And one of the things that was on there, I'd already forgotten about it, was 2009's, and this was the name of the bowl, St. Petersburg Bowl presented by Beef O'Brady's. You remember who won the St. Petersburg Bowl presented by Beef O'Brady's in 2009 at the Trop, which is now in ruins, which I drove past while I was home?
Miami?
No, that would be Miami winning a bowl game, and it doesn't happen, no. Rutgers did 45-24 over UCF.
That was at the Trop.
Yeah, that's what I said. And now that place is in ruins.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I thought you meant the bowl.
No, the Trop. That's a weird sight. When you go right to Bradenton and you go past that right there on the highway, you're like, oh, good Lord. It's still open air, dangling ruins.
Oh, wow.
It's awful.
It's been there my whole life. You could see it from the causeway, even if you looked at the right time.
I'm just, we're looking through here at some of these. I forgot about this. You get bad teams, bonus points, name length, 48 characters, sponsors 2 and 5 years. Didn't last very long. You could go find all the bowls that were sponsored that no longer exist by the .com bubble. There's a whole .com. Oh, the whole .com rush of it all. Yeah. It's fun. Go down memory lane. Find all those bowls. There's 43 this year, so.
Is the Emerald Nuts Bowl still a thing?
The one we won?
Yeah. It was Lorenzo Booker's finest hour.
By far. Might have been Jeff Bowden's finest hour.
He had his announcement, that Notre Dame game in the Emerald Nuts Bowl. There's your career.
That's the one. It's Jeff Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Highs around 62 this afternoon. Under sunny skies, westerly winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Tonight, 39. Mainly clear tomorrow. Daytime highs approaching 64. Storms likely Saturday with highs in the upper 60s. Slight chance for showers and highs in the upper 50s on Sunday. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 62.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Progressive's Auto Quote Explorer lets you easily compare direct rates from different insurance companies, so you can be confident you're getting the right one, even if it's not with Progressive. Way more confident than you were when you bought that TV in the parking lot. It just happened to not come in a box or include a remote. And when you finally managed to turn it on, all it displayed was the menu of Grumpy's Tacos. So use Progressive's Auto Quote Explorer and be confident you're getting insurance that's right for you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Shop can't miss deals going on now during Pro Savings Days at Lowe's. For a limited time, get a free adjustable stand when you buy a DeWalt 12-inch miter saw. That's a $229 value. Plus, save $680 on a Midea 4-piece kitchen appliance suite. Now just $17.96. Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. Valid 113 through 124. Cannot be combined with additional discounts while supplies last. See store or Lowe's.com for more details and qualifying items.
There is no Bigfoot, Eddie. Would you stop with that nonsense?
There's a Bigfoot, Jeff.
I wish there were. By the way, I don't want you to point to me as the guy that takes all the fun out of the room. I wish there was the Loch Ness Monster. I wish there was the Bigfoot. I wish there was the Chupacabra. All the things.
They're all mythical except for the Bigfoot. The Sasquatch.
The Bigfoot?
The Bigfoot. There's big feet. There's lots of them.
So like different, breeds, like different kinds.
There's like, families. There's different families. And,
so if they're in the snow, you call them a Sasquatch.
Or the Yeti. Right,
yep,
and then here in Florida, that's a skunk ape, and
never heard that one. By the way, why do you think it's real? We would have found them by now.
They're the hide and seek champions of the world. Nobody finds the Bigfoot.
I think you believe in Bigfoot.
I do believe in Bigfoot.
You don't believe.
I believe in Bigfoot.
Don't tell anybody you believe in Bigfoot.
I would go look for Bigfoot, but he scares me.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
I'm still somewhat abuzz by that win last night. I know we talked about it in the first hour. Don't want to spend much more time on it, but damn it, man. That was nice. You know why? Because I'll be honest with you, I did not expect us to win. I had very low expectations.
You did.
It's nice when something exceeds your expectation. It's also exceedingly rare. When it happens, you're like, oh, it's like you go into a movie expecting it to be terrible because of the actors or what looks like a cliche script or terrible character development on the horizon or whatever it might be that you're discerning just from the first few minutes. And then all of a sudden it takes a weird turn. You're like, this is kicking ass. All right. You are so happy. That was me watching Florida State basketball last night. Like, I've seen this movie. This is going to be terrible. And then we're going to lose. Great time well spent there, Jeff, right before bed. Here we go. And then you're like, whoa, we're playing well. We're playing smart. We're playing hard. We're playing physical. We're knocking down shots. All right, I like this movie.
It was probably the Ewan Ado run that had you believing for the first time that we were going to win.
He did go nuts, man. He was awesome. He often is awesome as an offensive player. He's very good, very skilled.
He's one of those that would belong on those good teams
that
we've had.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd fit in the rotation. No doubt. No doubt about it. He's got a lot of skill. Odd skills, too. Angles and shots from weird places. You're like, man, and you get
he'll drop dimes on. Yeah.
Well, because he handled the ball and he was a perimeter player. You could see that. You could see the integration of all the skills.
Yeah. That moves our net ranking, by the way, if I didn't tell you, to 66th. Pitt dropped to 29th. So you get a home win against a top 30 visiting team, and that's a quad one win, as we say. That makes us 1-4 in quad one games. Our losses in those quad one games prior had come to Florida, as you recall, Louisville, Clemson on the road, and at LSU. Road losses to top 75 teams. People ask these questions a lot, so we should, answer them. What constitutes a quad one game? Road losses to a top 75 team count as a quad one game. And so you had that road loss at LSU, and they're number 68. So again, sleepy nooner against Georgia Tech this weekend. Georgia Tech on the season is 8-10, 2-5 in the ACC. Georgia Tech has gone to spending a lot of money on football, caring deeply about wooing kids through the transfer portal and the NIL game, but they don't seem to care as much about doing that in basketball. They're a little bit like us in that regard. We don't seem to be as locked in on that either.
Well, you've got a chance to get fat here on this part of the schedule that's coming up. You've got some like opponents in terms of net rankings. Cal is around a little below us. Stanford's kind of where we are in the standings. Notre Dame in 5 games, 6 games time is where we are. Wake Forest. But the next 7 are Georgia Tech, Cal, Stanford, Virginia Tech, Boston College, Notre Dame, Wake Forest. You could, in theory, win every single one of them. But if you win all but one, you might be staring at a net in the 50s, 57, 58 at that point. And then you close with a couple of opportunities. If you could score an upset over Clemson when they come to town on February 15th.
That would be good.
Now you start to get nervous. It's a lot of ifs. It's a lot of basketball games to be played.
Yeah, the nerves that come with expectation, right? There's been, not many times where that's the case. By the way, I do want to congratulate Quinn Ewers, who's just going to declare for the NFL draft. Good. I thought he was going to be next in line to get the $6 or $7 million deal to go play quarterback elsewhere. I don't know why. I certainly don't resent guys getting paid. I'm not worried about other people's pockets, but I don't like this game of musical chairs that go on now these days with high-profile quarterbacks at one institution going to 3 different ones. That would have been his 3rd.
You didn't want to see him or his agency release a graphic saying he's the highest paid player in college football?
That was something, huh? Weird flex. I think that's a case where, and if you don't know what Tom's talking about, Carson Beck's people, I believe the representatives are known as EMS. Did I get that right? I think I'm right about that. That's the agency that posted that graphic. It's a graphic of Carson Beck in a Miami uniform, standing tall, holding out a football, looking as ugly as he ever has. And just a personal observation, saying it was probably unfair. That was probably unfair. Sorry. Anyhow, come on. Who are we kidding? Anyhow, the point would be said $10 million, whatever the number is. And the flex was, well, that's where it came from. There's resentment towards the stupidity of the post. That's what it's about. That's not on you, Carson. No need for my ad hominem attack on you. I should have just saved that for EMS. But the point would be, they posted that highest paid player in college sports history or whatever it was. Do you think that's going to endear your client to anybody?
No, but it does fit the Miami culture very nicely.
It's just like,
I think that's appropriate for where he's going.
My man,
What if he gets banged up and the backup quarterback plays well next year? Because now that he put that out there,
yeah,
you could create an issue. Oh, look at this. He's kind of struggling anyway, coach. So I know I played well in the Pitt game. I don't know if I can play the next game because I know he's out. Unless you can make something happen here. You don't have to make me the highest paid quarterback in college football, but if I'm better than the highest paid quarterback in college football, I mean, what can we do for me?
He certainly raises their floor. There's no doubt about that. Other college football news would be that, and we knew it was coming, changes are going to be voted on not long after this football game. Actually, I would say it's before this football game, if I am to understand this correctly, on the eve of college football's national championship game. The decision makers who've got the authority of the TV show, basically, how it runs, are going to hold their annual business meetings. A portion of the 90 minutes is expected to be spent reviewing the inaugural 12-team model, the pros and the cons and the questions. The topics that have already been a buzz amongst the FBS commissioners. Do the top 4 seeds need to be conference champions? Does the extra time off from a first-round bye put the higher seeds at a disadvantage? Is there a better way to measure strength of schedule for supersized conferences without divisions? What matters most to the 13 selection committee members? Who serve 3-year terms? By the way, they all serve 3-year terms. Is a 14-team field better than a 12-team field? And those questions were brought up under the condition of anonymity.
All right, sure. Well, we know that it's a heavy likelihood that you're not going to have 1 through 4 be auto conference champion slots. Like, that's going to go away, right?
Yeah.
1 through 4 are going to be the top 4 teams in the playoff committee's rankings. So if you win your conference, you're in, but you could be the 8 seed. You could be on the road.
Yes.
At the 10 seed, you could be on the road. So that's probably the way that's going to go. The how can we measure strength of schedule thing?
Doesn't it reach?
That's so loaded. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. The 5 highest ranked conference champions are guaranteed spots in the bracket, and the 4 highest ranked champions earn the top 4 seeds and first round buys. This year, that meant that number 12 ranked Arizona State earned a first round bye, is what Tom's alluding to, as the number 4 seed. 9th ranked Boise State, which was the Mountain West Conference champion, earned the number 3 seed and a first round bye. Reseeding after the first round is likely to be debated and something that people would like to see.
Fair enough. There'll actually be more use for it this time around because I don't think
it would have been the exact same thing this last time.
And I don't think you're going to see 5 through 8, make it into the Final 4 again next year because of the seeding process. But one of their questions is there a disadvantage to having a bye week?
I know.
Well, what are you supposed to do then?
Yeah, I know.
Make it a 16-team playoff and make everybody play out the gate?
Well, that's what they're going to want to do eventually.
If that's what that question's about, then I'm all for it. Make it 16.
And then be done.
Yeah.
And then be done. Everybody doesn't get to get into the playoffs.
Well,
this is not the damn NHL. We don't need 3/4 of the league making the postseason.
We could do a 17 spot. There's a 17 play-in game for, seeds 16 and 17. You played on the Wednesday. You played on the Wednesday before the Saturday. They have to go travel to the number 1 overall seed.
A USF special?
Yeah. Little play-in game. That'd be fun.
Oklahoma Athletic Director Joe Castiglione, a former college football playoff selection committee member, lest we forget, thinks the seeding needs to change. Said the 5 highest ranked conference champions should still be rewarded automatic bids, but should receive a first round bye only if they are one of the committee's top 4 teams. That, to me, is a big flaw. He was willing to talk on the record. The seeding has to be based on the ranking. Whatever metrics, whatever evaluation the committee sees in those teams, they have to rank and seed them accordingly. That's the only fair way to do it, because once you start tinkering with exceptions, you compromise the seeding.
No, I mean, you could say that is the NFL tinkers with exceptions because the NFC South was relatively weak compared to other, divisions this year, or the AFC South, best example this season. Well, should they not be a top 4 seed?
Right.
They make it into the field.
Well, you've seen situations like that where, somebody's on the road with a better record by, say, 4 games.
Yeah.
But they don't have balanced schedules. You don't play, so you can't.
Yeah. That was the Marshawn Lynch grab the boys celebration.
Beating the Saints in Seattle.
Yep. They were 3-4 games worse than them.
Oh, they were under 500.
7-9.
Yeah. 1 and that was something else. And it just felt like they would lose. It felt like the Saints were going to go out there and lose. You're like, oh man.
I don't get it though. Sean Payton doesn't lose those games. All we remember are the great things he does because he does so many of them.
It's weird with Sean Payton. Sean Payton does the thing where we push back on all the Sean Payton love, but at the same time, we would both be willing to admit Sean Payton is a good football coach. It's just that it doesn't need to be the way that it is in terms of the way he's described, because he did a really good job this year in Denver.
He did, but okay. Joe Tessitore thought Tony Romo was going over the top on CBS this past Sunday with the way he was talking about Sean Payton.
Yeah.
They had 7 points. Guys, it was a great first drive. And he called a nice trick punt.
And they got blown the hell out, which we knew they would.
And still, we're into the second half. They're on 7 points. Well, he's just brilliant.
It is weird.
They've got a really good defense, Tony.
Yeah, it is really, really weird the way that, if you do have a good reputation or you've won a Super Bowl, unless you really lampoon that reputation, you're going to forever be described that way. Like on the wrong end of ass kickings, it's going to be brought up of how brilliant you are when your team's won 4 games that year. It still happens. I don't know if that's a mandate. Hour number 3, forthcoming. Stay with.
There's nothing like relaxing in a hot tub after a long day. But if you don't have one, you're truly missing out. Hot tubs and spas have tremendous health benefits, besides just helping you relax. Like improving your sleep, they help with pain relief. They help to better your cardiovascular health, and so much more. And this season is the perfect season to finally buy what you've been wishing for. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patio, and Spas has the hot tubs you need for the price you want. Come shop our huge 12,000 square foot showroom and save today. There's over 50 hot tubs in stock right now, so you won't have to wait weeks on end for that delivery to finally come to town. If you're ready to relax, we're here to show you how. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patios, and Spas. Come visit our used showroom at 2473 Greer Road with over 50 hot tubs to choose from. You'll be glad you did.
Listen to what people are saying about ACL Home Inspections.
They took the time to explain every detail, providing clear insights and answering all of my questions.
I needed an inspection quickly. ACL scheduled me within 24 hours, and the inspector was able to arrive early. That was a huge bonus, and my 2 dogs absolutely adore him.
ACL Home Inspections will accompany you on a walkthrough inspection of the home you want to buy, then provide you with an easy-to-read digital report the same day. For homeowners planning to list their house on the market before putting it up for sale, ACL will provide you a pre-listing inspection.
As a very analytical person, I want to see all the details and ask questions. I interviewed 3 home inspection companies and was very impressed by ACL.
See for yourself what people are saying. Search ACL Home Inspections and find out more at aclhomeinspections.com or call 850-312-8919. 850-312-8919.
Every journey starts with a first step, a daring step. But what they don't say about first steps is that you have to keep going, taking step after step, and eventually you take a big leap, accomplishing more than you ever thought possible. After 57 years, Tallahassee Community College is soaring even higher, and we're now officially Tallahassee State College. We invite you to take a step and visit Tallahassee State College. Learn more at tsc.fl.edu.
From the championship stage to coaching change and everything in between, Warchant.com remains your home for the best FSU football coverage in the business. Brutally honest columns and features, market-leading multimedia presence across video and podcast, the largest FSU fan community with a staff that combines for over 100 years of experience covering the Noles. When change comes, Warchant.com is your home for analysis from every angle. Warchant.com, your ultimate Seminole sports source. Sign up today.
WVFD, Gretna, Tallahassee. This is Real Talk 93.3. More of the Jeff Cameron Show is coming up next. Your sports action update on Real Talk 93.3 with all the latest odds from Vegas. Brought to you by Palmar's Pawn, Gun and Gold. More than you might expect with 2 great locations in Tallahassee.
North Florida, a 10-point home favorite against Central Arkansas today at the UNF Arena, where the total is 157. North Alabama visits Jacksonville, laying 2, 142 at Swisher Gymnasium. And Queens at Stetson. Hatters a 5-point home underdog, the total 155. Yesterday, Florida State with an upset of Pitt, 82-70. Winning by 12 as a 3-point home dog. It's a 3rd straight loss for the Panthers as Florida State earns a victory in Tallahassee. The American Express coming up today, La Quinta, California. Justin Thomas, a 12-1 favorite. Soon JM, 14-1. $250 bonus and you open up a G-Bank Visa signature card. Visa.com/GBank. Mike Son at Real Talk 93.3.
Anywhere else, Tuesday is just, well, Tuesday. But if you're at KFC, Tuesday is $10 Tuesday, which means you can get 8 hot, juicy drums and thighs for just $10. Let me say that again. 8 pieces of hot, juicy, original recipe chicken, hand-breaded in 11 herbs and spices, all for just $10 every Tuesday. Only at KFC. Guess Tuesday isn't just Tuesday anymore. It's finger-licking good. Prices and participation may vary. Tax, tips, and fees extra.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time and switch to the expensive shampoo with amino acids. Sure, you don't know what those are or why you need them, but it sounds very impressive. And if you switch and save hundreds, you can massage it into your scalp every day. Now, if only you can get people to lean toward your head to smell those aminos. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time. For shampoo, Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
Florida man, what's wrong this time?
Well, it's my alligator Hank again. It's so dang cold, he's been digging all these holes in my backyard trying to find some heat to keep himself warm. But he doesn't want to come out to eat, so I have to yank him by his tail. Now my back is killing me again.
Poor Hank. I'm really sorry about your back pain.
You have any idea how hard it is to pull an alligator out of his heat hole when it's colder than the polar bear's toenails outside? Not to mention the added weight of the gold chain I bought Hank last year for his birthday.
Well, it's time to get you back in to see the doctors at Penn Chiropractic. You can book your appointment online, so there's no waiting in the cold.
You're right again. Look out, Dr. Finn. I'm coming in hot.
At Finn Chiropractic, they'll get to the root of your pain and deliver the solutions. Book your appointment online at finnchiro.com, and you'll even get an online discount. Visit finnchiro.com today and find your path to a pain-free tomorrow.
Injured? Call attorneys who care. Basic Brooks. Offices, Tallahassee.
Siri, tell me a joke. The first song I tried to write was about a tortilla, but it turned into a rap.
All jokes aside, the trained professionals at Mac & More Systems are serious about Apple products. For all your Mac repairs, call Mac & More Systems at 894-3622. 894-3622.
Honey, I'm home.
We're in here, honey.
So why are all my friends here?
Have a seat, Dave. We need to talk about your problem.
Problem? I don't have a problem. Dave, you do have a problem. A problem with your grill. Here's some pamphlets from Hearth and Patio. They are waiting for your call to help you upgrade your grill.
If you or someone you know needs a grilling intervention, call Hearth and Patio today at 850-727-4282. That's 850-727-4282 or hearthpatiotallahassee.com.
Florida's capital city. This is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
That's YouTube. Appreciate you very, very much. And thanks for being in the chat as well. There was a question in there about sort of the depressing attendance numbers. I was looking at the chat there a moment ago. The depressing attendance numbers as of late. This person clearly was watching on television and said, hey, what's with the lack of attendance at the FSU basketball games? Disheartening to see on TV. Related note, all the empty, expensive seats you see on TV are where the students should be. Yes, I would agree with the student part of that.
Been begging for that for how long now?
We all have, yeah. We really have. It goes back to 2011, 2010. Yeah, I hate how they stuff the students away. It's not a real good atmosphere, that's for sure. And I would just say this, there's the other part of it is that Florida State basketball, after having a stretch of real, not just solid, but upper tier, upper crust play in a league that was much better than it is now, has fallen on hard times. And this has never been a basketball school. Never has. They've had pockets of excellence. We all know those teams. We all remember the Sura and Cassell. And, if you're an old timer, you might maybe remember back in the day losing to UCLA in the Final Four. But this hasn't been a stretch where, FSU in its history has never been a basketball school.
So I don't mean this in a chiding way at all. Just when you were going to games back in the day, were they all TLC-CC? Were they at Tully? Okay.
No, they were TLC-CC.
Okay. Where were you allowed to sit as a student?
The side.
Oh, you were?
Yeah. You could.
For us, there was that strip behind the broadcast crew.
That was the res zone, wasn't it? When you...
Well, I was here for Ham. I think you had to earn points to be able to stand there. It was about loyalty points and coming to the games that nobody wanted to come to, and you would earn the right to be behind where the broadcast table is. And that's what got them kicked out of that spot, was when we stormed the court against Duke and one other court storming, they climbed over the ESPN broadcasters onto the court to storm it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a safety concern. But
that's been done countless times in countless places without that kind of response.
I get that there's a lot of roles that you have to have. You have to have everybody from the scorekeepers to the PA people to the whatever that are at that table. You could move the TV broadcast over there and then have the students not on camera, but underneath where the play-by-play is going. I don't know. We at least got access to, it was like opening night at a movie theater back in the 90s. They open the door, you get out, you assemble in line. They open the door, and it's first come, first serve. So you did get at least to sit on the floor baseline for the first 3 rows. Not the side, but if you didn't have loyalty points, is the first 3 rows baseline. This is 19 years ago now. Now you can't even sit on the floor at all if you're a student. I mean, it's removed, terribly removed.
Yeah, there's no atmosphere, if that's what you want to say. I mean,
and they show up. Well, they have
in the past
for the most part.
Well, the problem you have with Florida State basketball, and there are a lot of problems. They're not funded the way that some of the other schools are in this league. That there's not a commitment to it the way there are at other schools in this league. But removing the money and the lack of investment and those kinds of things, which allow your ceiling to be, much lower than that of a program that has a rich tradition and an invested university and fan base. I would say that the other problem is, again, I mean, this is a school that is fueled primarily by football. And what that means is that you have to really stand out at something. Now, I'm not speaking to all Florida State boosters, fans, supporters, alumni of any kind. There are people that are diehard and care about all Florida State sports. Many of them are listeners of this show. That's one of the reasons they're listening. They love sports, and they love FSU in particular. And they're the people that go to soccer and softball and tennis and football and both men and women's basketball. They go to all of it, right? But again, that's a very small percentage of the fan base. And so in a lot of ways, this fan base, as it pertains to basketball, is very much the way Miami is about all things. They are front runners. I mean, basketball will get your attention if you're winning games. If you have guys that are going to be playing at the next level, and all of a sudden you're making a splash on the national scene and you sustain excellence, people will come. And that run that Ham had going into that final stretch there, the COVID season, was something to be a part of. You and I got a chance to cover that, be a part of it, be both somebody who is on air and part of the press, but also as fans. We just enjoyed that. We would go up and sit in the boxes. We had the vista. We had the whole thing. It was a good time.
Yep. Well, and those club seats are an incredible value.
They
too.
are. It was awesome. And that place turned into something special. It turned into something that it has never been able to sustain at any point, whether it was me going to games back when Sura was here and Charlie Ward and Sam Cassell and those guys and Doug Edwards and Rodney Dobard. Those teams were, those teams have a special place in my heart, and they were really good. But every era of FSU basketball that has featured really good players, NBA players, some who went on to be great NBA players, Dave Cowens, goodness gracious. But you could go on and on and on, right? It's always followed up by long, protracted periods of nothing. Nothing.
It finds its way into becoming something that gets into your blood, though. And I think you have to live here to understand
because
that.
you got to go to a lot of them in the years in which they're good, and then that energy. It's like you going to the Lightning games for all those years, and then they got really, really good, and you can never quit the Lightning now.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Nor would you, but yeah.
No, I never would. Yeah, we won 16 games one year.
I know.
My God.
Yeah.
But it was the hottest ticket in town, and it was just the place would come apart at the seams. I was talking to a Noel earlier this week about that it's football against a rival. It's Florida State hosting a super regional. I remember watching Ramsey hit a home run. Basically, it was a walk-off. It wasn't quite to send us to Omaha. Like, you knew once he hit that home run. Things. I've been here for some amazing moments. Now, you've been here for more because you lived through the 90s.
Yeah, that run at Hauser was near and dear to my heart.
I've seen some incredible things in my 20 years of living here now. But my favorite, without question, are when basketball is Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final Four good. And that just, there's something about the sound that building makes. It's the acoustics of the sound bouncing off of the walls. You see 50 and 60-year-old people from Monticello
going nuts,
getting into the aisles, flexing. Like, they're not going to do that for a third down, but they'll do that for a Trent Forrest dunk on Jordan Wara. People hugging in the aisles. Like, it's bedlam. It just goes to this other level that has a higher peak. Now, football has this overwhelming power to it. When you have 80,000 strong or 70, however many it's going to be, when you have that many people in a building, it is this overwhelming sensory experience. But basketball, that peak for those moments, oh my God, there's nothing like it when we're good.
It's just we haven't ever really been able to sustain it. And like I said, we talked about, somebody was asking what gives. Well, this team last year went 17-16. They were 10-10 in conference. They were the height of mediocrity. They didn't make the tournament. The year before that, the team went 9-23. Lest we forget, 9-23. The year before that, they were 17-14. 500 in the conference again. By the way, in the 9-23 team, they won 7 conference games. So you haven't been above 500 in conference in 4 years. You've barely been, your overall record is below 500 in total for those 3 seasons that I just cited. Now, this year looks like we're going to finish above 500 for sure, but you were 17-16, 9-23, and 17-14. So, you do the math. That's not good. And so you go through any stretch in which you're losing close to half the games you play, and you have one awful season in the midst of all of that, you've lost them. A whole wave of student has come through here at that point and is graduating, and they've never seen Florida State be good. That's how quick it happens. Because if you were a student prior to that, oh, buddy, you had a run for the ages. You had the NCAA runs. You had the regional final runs, the regional semifinal runs. You had all of it. You had 26-9, 23-12, 29-8, 26-5. Those years in conference, you had 12 conference wins, 13 conference wins, 16 conference wins. You went 11-4. I mean, you did some serious damage in that league.
You beat top 10 teams on the regular. You were a top 10 team often enough. You won in overtime every single time you went to overtime. You came away with a win for a long stretch.
Yeah, well, you made the tournament 4 out of 5 years during that stretch, and then you had, prior to that, when he was Leonard Hamilton 2.0, like the original, you had a stretch where everybody was kind of going, hey, man, what we doing out here, Leonard? Because it started with a dearth of success. It was a whole lot of not doing a damn thing. And just when he was up against it, they got good. They went 25 and 10, 22 and 10, 23 and 11, 25 and 10 to the tournament, to the tournament, to the tournament, to the tournament. You're like, all right. And then, poof, it was gone. Mediocrity seeped back in. His job was on the line. Calls for him to be fired. Understandably. I always understood that. We had reached the precipice of it's time to move on, time to get going. And then he turned it around. And not only did he turn it around, they started winning games in a very different manner than they had won in that previous stretch that I just documented. They started winning games and winning them playing a really fun style of basketball, really modern style of basketball, embracing modern analytics, changing the pace with which they played, the offensive prowess that they recruited, all of it. And those teams, again, to the tournament, to the tournament, to the tournament, to the tournament, and success in those tournaments. You know, when you make the Elite Eight, it wets the whistle. It can sustain momentum at that point. But they haven't gone to the tournament now in back-to-back seasons, and
they quit a lot of the times between them now. I know this is a different group. I get it.
Yeah.
That's why we said early on that you're going to like this group a hell of a lot more than its predecessors.
Yeah, that 9-23 team just can go to hell, yeah.
But what's funny is the way that Clemson's second half looked. You go, oh, boy. Well, okay. They got up for some moments here, and then their spirit is going to be broken. But no, that's what last night is.
Yeah.
Last night is you think you flatlined, and now they're saying, no, there's a faint pulse here. Hang on a minute. What do we have here? And the next stretch, as we documented last hour, is 6-7 games. They're all winnable, these next 6 or 7. You get all but one of them. Now you're playing Clemson on the 15th of next month, and you're saying, I don't know. You could score an upset here. Maybe you dare to dream.
I'd like a reason, man. I would love to. We always loved it. It can help bridge the gap between football ending and baseball starting. And then for a stretch there, it did a lot more than that. It was at the front of the line. I mean, for a stretch there, you were like, yeah, baseball, yeah, it's coming. I got it. Basketball's kicking ass right now. Let's lock in. We would kind of look at the calendar when we were working at ESPN, and we would say, hey, all right, let's do a promotion around this. Let's get to this game. I'll see you on Thursday night. We'll be here, whatever.
I just remember 11. Rest in peace. Did we win? You know?
Yeah. I used to ask it all the time.
Oh, yeah. That was the best. Because when you said yes, his face would light up like a kid walking into Disney World for the first time.
Yeah, my man loved basketball.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, well, I love any time the coaches, when there's I've been fortunate enough to be around it when they're all humming. You know, you got to remember there's the stretch in the 90s when I'm here that is unbelievable. The basketball team's awesome. The football team is an annual contender for the national championship, and the baseball team is one of the 5 best in all of America every season they roll out. It's all happening simultaneous, and you're walking around that campus, and you're walking down Tennessee Street, and you're on your way to AJ's to meet your buddies, and then later on when I broke into broadcasting to do shows, there's an energy in this town, and it's a current that you feel throughout, driving in Coarne, driving down Mayhem to Tennessee as it turns in, and you feel it, you hear it. It's not just the congestion, it's the kinds of conversations. And, you know, you've been longing for it ever since because it seems like we can't ever get everything in line.
I'm dreaming for it this spring. It could happen if the preseason rankings are right. We'll see. See if softball can pitch a little bit better. We'll see how we replenish the offensive lineup in baseball. But I want that weekend where it's regionals for baseball and supers for softball. And you're hosting both.
The bat and ball sports weekend.
That weekend, you just park your car. Well, you don't even need to. You take a ride share to campus and you go
to the Oaks.
That's right. Go to the Oaks and then get your doubleheader on.
Take it to the Oaks.
Oh, buddy. Yes, sir.
You have a cold one, you laugh, you talk with folk that are just as excited as you are about.
Well, softball is impossible to get a ticket for in that setting, so you just go to the parking garage, and that's where you watch the game.
We can do better. We can do better than the parking garage across the street. We should I don't know what we would have to do, but we've got to do something.
We could set up a tent. We could
You're
cultivate
still on top of a parking garage.
We could class it up. We could have somebody drop a bar there, and then we just do like a little meet and greet.
I'm in on that. Let's go.
As long as TPD is cool with it, I'm in.
Yeah, no, we're not encouraging anybody to drive if they are at the bar.
That's right.
Just come and visit.
We can work with local vendors for little fairs.
I'm in. Chef Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
No matter how busy life gets, your home is the place where your family and friends show you they care and celebrate with you. That's why the professionals at Barano Heating and Air Conditioning always make sure your home is comfortable. Just like those who matter to you most, Barano will always be there for you.
This is Tyler from Barano Heating and Air. Now you can schedule an appointment, purchase or renew your service agreement, or pay your bill from your mobile device. Any day, anytime, anywhere. When you turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air, online at baranoac.com.
Florida license number CAC 1816186.
There's no heating and air conditioning.
This is Alex from Falmers. We've been buying gold and silver jewelry, fine watches, and other collectibles for over 45 years. But did you know Falmers buys and sells gold and silver coins, bars, and bullion? Don't get scammed online or pay high shipping and handling fees. Call or stop by Falmers for a quick and easy quote. No matter if you're new to investing in bullion or have been collecting a lifetime, Falmers is your local source for buying, selling gold and silver coins and bullion. Falmers, more than you might expect, with 2 great locations. As you probably know, Falmers buys, sells, and loans on just about anything of value. What you might not know is that when you buy something from us, we guarantee the total satisfaction of your purchase. Buy it, take it home, and if for any reason you decide you don't want it within 7 days, Falmers will give you 100% of your money back. And if you decide you don't want the item within 30 days, Falmers will let you exchange it for something you do want. At Falmers, we guarantee you're going to be happy with your purchase or we'll buy it back. Falmers, check cashing, pawn service, and sales. 2 times more than you might expect with 2 great locations.
At Paul's Termite and Pest Control, we know if you have something in your home that's not supposed to be there, you want it gone now.
Not in a couple of days, not tomorrow, but today. That's why we offer a same-day guarantee.
If you call Paul's before 12, one of our technicians will be out before 5. We guarantee it.
The health of you, your family, and your pets is why we promise to do everything possible to quickly resolve your problem.
And we do so using the safest chemicals. Notice a pest problem?
Call Paul's Termite and Pest Control before 12, and we're there before 5.
Call Paul's.
We'll get them all.
Paul's Termite and Pest Control has been treating termites from the exterior of your home for about 25 years.
Paul's was the first to introduce the Centricon termite colony elimination system to North Florida and is the leader of this non-invasive treatment.
Instead of dumping gallons and gallons of harsh chemicals into our soil, Centricon uses environmentally sensitive treatments loaded in bait stations.
These stations are strategically placed around the home. If termites are present, they feed, take it back to the colony, which is shortly destroyed.
To learn more about Centricon
and a free consultation too,
call Paul's.
We'll get them all.
Hey everybody, this is Shannon Young with Cross Country Mortgage. Been in the industry now for 22 years. I just made the move over to the nation's largest retail lender, Cross Country Mortgage, here to serve you in 7 states, including Florida, Georgia, Alabama, the Carolinas, Tennessee, and the state of Texas. Here to offer better service, better rates, and if you were thinking about buying or if you've been on the fence and been waiting to call me, now is the time. You can still find me at loansforknowles.com. That is, again, loansforknowles.com. I've helped thousands of fellow Knowles get into their dream home, and I can't wait to help you get into yours. Give me a call today. I'm at 954-369-6171, or go to loansforknowles.com. Again, that's 954-369-6171, and that's loansforknowles.com.
Equal housing, NMLS 373031.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Happy birthday to one of my brothers that's out there, my little brother, Timothy, TJ, as we call him, is having a birthday today and is in Georgia having a good time. So he sometimes tunes in. Wanted to wish him a happy birthday. Hopefully he's having a good day. Probably has to work. That's my guess. Guy works hard.
Is he going to make his way back down to Tallahassee this year?
Needs to. We've been on him about it. I mean, he's been all in on his career and doing some things with his job that, without getting into details, I think probably he felt committed to in a way that he hadn't been before. And so it's like, I haven't seen him in a couple of years as far as football games go. You're right. He used to come down all the time for these games. So let's go.
Your dad's made a habit of baseball the last few years.
Yeah. Yes.
The animals have embraced him, right?
They have pretty much. Yeah. Well, he's a good guy. So I think it's
hard not to embrace your dad.
He's pretty fun to be around. So, and he loves it. I mean, he's been coming down here for so many years and for so long. It's to be welcomed with open arms and to have a good time and tailgate. And he's forever saying, oh, well, it's another reason also to come down and see his grandkids. So there's that, like I'll come down and watch the kids and go, like if we go out of town, me and the missus go out of town for a few days. He's like, I got him. I'll go over there and I'll call Johnny Mack and we'll go to baseball games together. It'll be great.
That's what I always hear.
He'll swing by the Metro Deli and he'll swing by Corner Pocket and then they'll all end up at the baseball games.
From a rivalry standpoint, we travel to Miami this year, but we do host Clemson in May. So maybe that would be a good weekend. Just throwing it out there, Mr. Cameron, if you're listening.
Oh, we travel to where?
We go to Miami. Miami doesn't come here because we only play them once. That old chestnut. But it looks like our best home series would be Clemson. We're at Louisville.
Well, I can guarantee the fine folks at Clemson who make the trek down to Tallahassee will be treated with more hospitality than we were there. And it wasn't anything that the Clemson fans did, but the ridiculous game day operations crew at Clemson, which makes a mockery of their program and their sport. Like it's an effing annoying drug-addled disco. Nonsense.
We do host
Christ, man.
I figured you would take the opportunity to mention their PAs.
They should be humiliated. All of them.
Wake Forest does come to town in April.
Yeah, they're good. They're good at baseball. Noel Dad, Jeff, can you give us 2 reasons why Dion will and won't leave Colorado to take the Dallas job? Yeah, I'll go straight forward with you now. Dion has said that he's there to stay in Boulder, loves Boulder. That it wasn't just about coaching his kids and the elite talent that is Travis Hunter, but he's committed to the fine folks of Boulder. You surely believe Deion Sanders, do you not, Noel Dad? Are you questioning his sincerity? So that would be one. And then the reason he would leave, because there aren't many head football coaching jobs in the NFL. And by the way, Dallas, for as many problems as they have, the problem in Dallas isn't the owner, it's the GM. They're the same. So you have to deal with Jerry Jones, the GM, which it makes it a lot harder to deal with Jerry Jones, the owner, because Jerry Jones, the owner, is just fine. Top of the line facilities, investment in everything any player could ever want. He'll spend the big money. He'll do all the things. Jerry Jones, the GM, is a moron and routinely makes ridiculous decisions and mistakes, and thus you're stuck. He also is a media whore and likes to serve as, whether he knows it or not, a distraction. You know who else is a media whore? Deion Sanders. Now imagine the two of them fighting for the camera lens and the light that goes with. At odds on a daily basis. Get away from those cameras, old man. It's all mine. Would never be said literally, but in action, It would take one offhanded comment by either to set the other off, but neither of them could see it right now from where they sit. They like being talked about hourly.
Minus 25,000 for Hard Knocks if the hire is made.
I'd watch. So would you.
I wouldn't.
Oh, I think you would, because Hard Knocks is good no matter who they feature. And it might be especially true if you watch that duo.
I would watch the end season with them. That I'd be more interested in. Preseason, you can direct it through hype as much as you want. That's all it would be. But if it's the in season and you get the NFC East, like they did with the AFC North, which apparently they're continuing to do. So like today, there should be a release of Steelers and Ravens with footage from the game, which is going to be great.
Which will be really great.
Yeah. But this one, if you give me NFC East in season, dude, I mean, absolutely. Because I want to see how they actually handle the real stuff, not how they hype up the fake stuff.
Well, look, I've said this a lot. You'll hear commentators and analysts and people who cover the league, not the serious ones, but the people who are looking to garner a name or say something bombastic will oftentimes talk about why all of these assistant coaches or defensive coordinators, offensive coordinators, former head coaches, you name it, would never take this job or that job. And I always roll my eyes. There are 32 franchises in the NFL. It is the creme de la creme of coaching if you coach in football. If you're a football coach, ultimately, if you'd like to be challenged, and some people are just made for college and they get it and they know it and that's their place and they don't want to be in the NFL. Jimbo Fisher once told me when I asked him the very question, would you like to be an NFL coach someday? He paused and said, I don't know, probably not. Now, that is smart because A, he's leaving room for the potential of a conversation centered around. He'd certainly listen. Who wouldn't listen if the money were right? But B, he said, I really love college towns, college communities, and the college scene. I think he's telling the truth. He's from a small town in West Virginia. He's always been involved in college ball. He was a college football player. He was excellent. He was never going to go pro. He wasn't big enough or good enough. And that's not a shot. Most people aren't. But the point would be he loves college. And I believe him when he says that. And so he kind of, my druthers to stay in a college town. But there are some guys who'd like to challenge themselves by going and being tested ultimately at its highest levels. And even Nick Saban and others did that. Steve Spurrier did that. Guys that we thought were college coaches attempted to do it in the NFL. Lou Holtz did it to a grand failure. But the point would be, if that's it, what's in you, you know how hard it is to get one of those jobs. It's only 32 of them. I mean, somebody calls you and says, you're going to be the next head coach. We'd like to make you the next head coach. I don't care if what follows is the Jacksonville Jaguars. If you're an offensive coordinator and you've always wanted to be a head coach, this is your shot. This is it. There are franchises that have been largely failures for most of my lifetime. And yet, any one of these assistants who's called about the opportunity to be a head coach in the league to go to one of those places, the aforementioned failures, they jump at it. They maybe even take a pay cut to do it because they believe in themselves and they believe that if they get it right, that's the ticket. And ultimately they're chasing the test. Can I be? Can I do? Can I achieve at the highest levels against the very best the world has to offer in this game of football? If that's how you're wired, you don't worry about something like, I'm not a big fan of the GM. I'm not a big fan of the owner. He's the owner. What are you going to do? I mean, ultimately, you do have to acquiesce to an owner's wishes, but beyond that, he's presumably going to let you at least coach the team to prepare them for game days, to put together a game plan. As far as I know, Jerry's not walking into the locker room telling them that they've got to run certain numbers of plays in a certain fashion, right? He meddles in other ways. So if Dion were offered the job to be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, where he won a Super Bowl, I would think that he would say, yes, I'm going to take that job. Now, we could get into a lot of things about, I think there was always a plan to try to leave Colorado the second his sons, plural, walked out the door.
Plus Travis Hunter.
Of course. But that would be speculative on my part based on a track record of selfish decisions he's made in the past. I don't know. It's one of those catch-22s because on the one hand, I think he always endeavored to do that. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe he stays even with an offer to go to the NFL. And maybe he continues to win 8 or 9 games. And if he does, I would have to, no matter how begrudgingly, call that a raging success. That is a success story. What happened at Colorado this year was a successful season. Were they ever a threat to win the national title? No. But were they worlds better than what they've been over the last 20 some odd years? Yeah. Yes, they were.
2 weeks to go, they could have won the conference.
Right, they were in it. They were in the running.
Yeah.
They had a shot. And that's a success. That in and of itself is a success. And I can hate the annex and the look at me, and he lives his life being called by a nickname, self-aggrandized. I mean, it's just insane. But that's fine. It has worked at Colorado. And I do remember saying that as much as I'm not a fan, that's probably the best Colorado's going to do. They haven't mattered in forever.
Oh, yeah. They should have said yes the moment he said, I want a blank check. Yeah, whatever you need.
And they did. And it has worked. I was wrong on that. It has worked. I would love for him to stay because I really would like to see the experiment play out. I'd like to see what are we saying about Dion Sanders' coaching career if he stays in one place for 5 years, 7 years, 8 years, whatever that might look like in Colorado. What does it become? Does he sustain it and build upon it? Does it wane? I don't know. It's a bit of a mystery. Everybody's got an opinion on that. I think it would be fascinating to find out. I think it's good for the game. I would enjoy watching it play out.
It feels like Dallas is just going to happen.
Well, I think
it's what Jerry wants. This is the exact hire that Jerry would. I mean, it's 30 years later. It's the same thing.
The weird thing is Jerry has said to have the whole. Here's what we're learning, by the way. The Mike McCarthy stuff is very, very strange. The more we read, the more we realize Mike McCarthy left them, not the other way around.
That's correct.
He told Jerry to suck it.
He wanted longer term because he knew it's going to be a minute before they can succeed.
Well, he not only wanted a better deal, he also didn't want to get lowballed, which is what they were going to do. And he was being told that he was going to have to groom Jason Witten to be the next head coach. Get the hell up out of here.
Boy.
I mean,
if you put that to me, why? Just because Dan Campbell, a large tight end, can do it, you think another large tight end can do it,
old
Jerry?
People do, buddy.
Dude. If you asked me as a Dallas Cowboys fan right now, we know a few.
Yeah.
Who would you rather have as your head coach, Deion Sanders or Jason Witten?
Oh, they'd say Dion.
Do you know how quickly I'd say Deion
Yes,
Sanders?
of course.
And don't ever ask me a dumbass question like that again.
Because you know that he can assemble a staff, and that's what he would do. He would go out and go get the guys who get. Yes, that's what he would do.
Free agents would want to come and play for him.
Maybe, but yes, I see what you're saying. Yes,
they're not going to play for Witten.
No, probably not. No. If forced to choose between the two, yes.
You know what's going on in Detroit? It's a large tight end, and he seems to have success.
He used to be one of us.
We have one of those.
Well, how damning is it to Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys that one of the blue bloods of the Dallas Cowboys franchise, Troy Aikman, a Hall of Famer at the most important position, 3-time Super Bowl champion, is being asked by Van Pelt the other night about the Cowboys job opening and how coveted it is. And his response in front of everybody, the world, well, I don't know how coveted a job it really is. High profile, yes. Coveted? I don't think so. That had to stab Jerry Jones in the chest. And he made a good point. He said, well, hold on, here's what I mean. Could Dan Campbell be Dan Campbell if he were here? The things that he's done in Dallas, in Detroit, the personality that he has, the way that he's implemented the radical changes to the culture and the practice schedule, everything else that he's done to help flip that franchise from a perennial loser to now a really kind of beloved franchise in the league. It seems like everybody who's neutral on the matter kind of likes Detroit, likes Dan Campbell. They've really enjoyed the way that he's inspired those players and those assistant coaches, and everything about that culture has shifted. It's kind of fun to watch. I don't have a dog in the fight anymore. I'm rooting for him to win the whole thing. I think it would be great. The road to the Super Bowl goes through Detroit. It's never been said in my lifetime. That's neat to see. I'm 53 years old. It's never been said. So the question was, and again, he said, I don't know. I don't know if he would be that Dan Campbell here, because that would be stepping on Jerry's toes. That's a hell of a thing, man. That's a damning statement.
Also, there are some complaints about being a player in that organization, not to do with Jerry Jones at all, but he will allow fans to come in or bigwigs to come in and watch workouts and watch them in the gym. And you feel this over-the-shoulder thing, voyeurism, if you will, for sports, that makes players very uncomfortable with the situation, but it's all what comes with wearing the star. They all understand that that's why the Cowboys are the Cowboys, but yeah, to your point, you couldn't pull that off in Detroit.
No, Dan wouldn't allow slapdicks in the locker room to come in there and have a conversation.
He would chase them out and try to.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's sacred. The locker room is sacred. I mean, that's the solace you get. You're a superstar. You're a professional athlete. You're recognized by everybody. And there's a lot of great that comes with that, like the money. But you do need to be free to concentrate and work to the end of being the very best and fulfill that contract and try to collectively come together to win. And you have to have shelter from all of the outside influences and all of the media madness. You don't need it added to by your owner. Hey, I like this actor. He's a Cowboys fan. I'm going to bring him in the locker room and let him meet my entire offensive line and demand that they spend an hour with him. I mean, what the hell are we doing here?
Wait, do you see Parsons do some bench presses? Come on in here. Micah, give him a fourth set.
Oh, Lord. There was a guy at ETSU who went on to play for the San Francisco 49ers and I think Cleveland, and he was there as I was coming in. He was going out. He was like one of the darlings for ETSU. Anybody who remembers the Southern Conference, remember the name Thane Gash all these years and years and years ago. You know, Thane Gash was not told that NFL scouts were going to be coming through. Johnson City's not a big city. Was not told that the scouts would be coming by from one small campus to another campus, being the one at Etsu, to see him work out because he had NFL potential and they knew it. And he was a safety, and he was a big, strong safety, kind of acted as a linebacker down the right. He'd mix it up in the run game, okay? So he had completed his entire workout, done, exhausted, huge workout, right? He's leaving, and the NFL scouts come up. They're like, Thane, this is so-and-so from the San Francisco 49ers, and so-and-so from the such and such. And he's, yeah, they'd like to see you work out. just got done working out, and they made him sit down on the bench and go through his whole thing again.
Oh, my God.
And he had already done it. He had already done, 16, 20 reps of 225, whatever it was, 25 reps. That they're like, look, we need to see what you can do. Can you imagine the adrenaline spike, though? He did well.
Yeah, that's because you're trying to prove yourself. If you've already arrived and you're a 6-7-year vet, here comes Jerry walking in. He goes, hey, Micah, Dennis Miller at the CW. We're thinking about doing a reality show on the CW. This guy's a visionary in the TV industry. Show him doing get on the squat rack. Let's see what you got. Show Dennis over here. Dennis, check this out.
Good old Thane Gash, Cleveland, amongst other. I had the Cleveland part right. I was trying to see. He didn't play. He played 64 games in his career.
Dennis, look at the size of this guy's thighs. Unbelievable.
Oh, you got me thinking about it when you were talking about Micah. Jeff Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio Warchant TV.
Now here's your Paul's Termite Pest Control Tallahassee weather report.
Staying a little on the mild side temperature-wise for the end of the week ahead of a system that will bring rain chances back this weekend. Highs staying in the 60s, then clearing out to start off next week with much colder air moving in. Tonight, mostly clear, lows in the 30s. Friday, mostly sunny with a high of 65, low of 46. Rain chances return on Saturday, 90% chance with a high of 67. From Real Talk 93.3, this is Danielle Gelling.
For the elimination of termites, Pest, and for a greener lawn too. Call Paul's. They'll get them all.
Leaky faucet, busted pipes, clogged toilet? M&L Plumbing is here for you. For all commercial, construction, and residential plumbing issues, call M&L Plumbing at 575-9393 or visit online at mnlplumbing.com.
Take a sip and have a trip with Tallulah's famous THC slushies. Lots of fun flavors to choose from, refreshingly delicious, and the perfect way to relax. Stop by Tallulah's and try the all-new sugar-free Jolly Rancher slushie today and find out why everyone is going mad for honey. A rare, intriguing, deep red honey harvested from the mountains of Nepal. Mad Honey is the latest trend, creating quite the buzz. Literally. Try Mad Honey today, only available at a Tallulah store near you.
Clean, renewable energy means fresher air, healthier residents, new green jobs, and a stronger, more resilient community. How we get there is up to you. Share your input today to help shape the Tallahassee of tomorrow. Take the Clean Energy Survey at talgov.com.
Time to head out on our annual guys fishing trip. Wait, where's Jimmy?
He just texted me saying he has to swing by his storage unit to get a couple of things. And now there's a truck blocking him in and he won't be here for another hour.
That wouldn't have happened if he had just called Southeast Portable Buildings and got a unit right on his property.
I love mine. I have so much more space in my garage. Now I can finally park my truck in there.
Give them a call today, 850-580-6400. That's 850-580-6400, or visit them online for all their options at southeastportablebuildings.com.
Hey everyone, it's Ted from Consumer Cellular, the guy in the orange sweater, and this is your wake-up call. If you're paying too much for wireless service, you don't have to keep having that nightmare. Consumer Cellular has the same fast, reliable coverage as the leading carriers for less. And for a limited time, new customers receive their second month free when they sign up and use promo code SECONDFREE by January 26th. So why keep spending more than you have to? Seriously, wake up and call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated in the best hearing aids of 2024 by USA Today, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, just $189.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 500,000 happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
I used to have the luxury of great bumper music to slowly walk back into the studio after our little discussions during the break. I miss it dearly. I miss that bumper. So do others, but it's not our fault.
I knew which songs took longer to really get to the point as well. So if you were down the hall, like way back when in the AM days, I would play something that really had some length to a 25, 30-second build-up to get to crescendo.
Yeah.
And then I would hit play and I'd run outside of the control room and go, yo, where are you? And it would echo around. We're back? Yeah. Okay.
You would crank. Yeah, the Clear Channel days, you would crank it. I remember that was
same thing with ESPN.
Yeah.
That's the trick. You just turn it up louder and louder.
Louder and louder and louder. I remember at the old Clear Channel days, I'd be sprinting down the hall.
What a great hallway towards the end because of all the layoffs, right? There was just so much room to play the mini golf game that we did. Remember that? Put the pint glasses on the other end of the hall.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and that hallway, and it's a big circle, basically, you could – yeah, and the kitchen was awesome, and we would have a blast. We would all go through, and I remember laughing because when Matt Millar and I were doing the show together way back in the morning show days, I would sprint to that kitchen to get another cup of coffee because I would need hundreds for that show. I mean, that's a toughie. And he would be like, hurry up, man, because sometimes I wouldn't decide until after like a commercial or two have already happened. He's like, come on. Try not to burn my hand with this scalding hot coffee running down the hall, trying to balance it. And then he's cranking the music like, hey, oh.
Every one of your interns does have scars on their hands from the burns. The burns
Well,
of going to
later
run
on.
the coffee down.
Yeah, but later on, the coffee was a much more sophisticated process. Here's $5, go to Starbucks or
That's what I'm saying.
or Dunkin' Donuts.
But they would always fill it, and it would spill over a little bit when you take it out of the car or you take it from the barista. Right on the inside of the hand.
You do know that ever since you put forth the Brooklyn bagel, water bagel.
Oh, the Cubesta. Yeah.
Ever since you brought up Cubesta, I have now I'm locked in on my next Cubesta. Brooklyn water bagel still around? Any place, any part of it?
I'm just pulling it up now to see where their locations are in this fine country.
Gonna kick myself. I wanted to take Will Zalatoris today. He's at 5 under. Damn it, I did not.
They're all over the state. So next time you drive to Central Florida or you're on your way down to see your parents,
Just make sure I type it in.
There's one in Wesley Chapel. So that's where you go.
The wagers that we would normally have for these games, for the NFL games, that is, I should touch on before we say goodbye on a Redemption Thursday. And I'm kind of, if you look at where the lines were and, where they've gone to now and what we think they're going to be, here's where we ended up, depending on, you want an MGM, you want FanDuel, you want DraftKings, where do you want, buddy?
Let's go MGM. We never talk about BetMGM.
Okay, BetMGM, of which we both have a card from when we were in Mississippi.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You can get the Texans at 8.5.
I like it.
You're going to take the 8.5. You think it's going to be a weird game?
Yeah.
I like 8.5. I like 8.5 in any NFL game. I can't believe how big these numbers are. The only game that doesn't have a big number associated with it based on the talent of the teams is Baltimore and Buffalo. That's a 1-point game, as we expect, sort of a coin flippy sort of deal. That is Vegas telling you that if this game were not in Buffalo, they believe the Ravens are the better team on a neutral side and certainly at home. But what you have here is the Chiefs-Texans at 8.5. I would always take 8.5. I would probably take 8.5 in a regular season game. It just seems the right side to be on. You can get 9.5 at BetMGM for the Commanders against the Lions.
What? You give me that 9.5 all day. They have no fear.
It opened at 10.
They have nothing to lose. And they're not afraid to go 4 downs. These are all, if you're the better team, you don't like that. If you're Detroit, like, hey, man, they don't need to be going on 4th down on our own 40. We're the better team here. Let's not give them a short field.
He doesn't always do it. He doesn't always do
still,
it.
if it's 4th and 2.5 on their own 42, everybody go, what's he going to do? We're not really sure here. But for Washington's sake, the way they play, the reckless abandon that they have on 4th down, it's perfect for this situation at over a touchdown.
The consensus number is now 8.5, but you want it specifically BetMGM, you can get it at 9.5.
Boy, yeah. Enticing.
Get the Rams at 6 against the Eagles. I would bet that up to just over 7.5. I would bet that up and take it because I think the Rams are certainly good enough. It's like, one of the things you can do, and we'll give them the credit for this, credit where credit's due from back in the day. You could do the Colin Cowherd method and just go quarterback for quarterback here. And if you do it that way, Tom, who amongst us doesn't want a future Hall of Famer running the helm here with an opportunity to win a game? And that's what you have with the Rams. He's stud.
Yeah, the problem is I was just pulling up yards per carry allowed. LA has been awful this year in that regard.
Yeah, they get after the passers, what they do.
Correct. In their last 3 games, they're giving up over 5 yards a carry.
That's what I said. It's a different animal, this Eagles team. They have one of the best offensive lines. They are committed to running it. It's their whole operation. Their quarterback will run it 10 times. Obviously, they'll turn around and give it to Saquon Barkley 25 times. To me, the Rams are a matchup problem for the Vikings.
Yeah.
They're a matchup problem for teams that want to come in and throw the ball, but they're not as big a matchup problem for somebody that wants to bludgeon you. And they will try to bludgeon you in freezing cold temperatures this weekend, and they're built to do it.
Yeah, for example, let's say you have 2 upsets. You have Washington and the Rams both win this weekend. I'm going to bet the Rams up to 9.5. I'll lay 9.5 against Washington. Perfect matchup.
Yeah,
for the Rams are the Commanders.
Yeah, not a good matchup, though, for the Rams against the Eagles. So I would have to bet this up if I were going to take it. Otherwise, it's a no play for me. Ravens-Bills is a coin flip game, and I'm hearing no Zay Flowers practicing again this week. That means you have to rely on, Andrews.
Yep,
Bateman, and obviously the giant one.
And likely.
Well, yeah. But again, that's not dynamic at wide receiver all of a sudden. And you could probably leave your guys in singles and walk up a safety to make sure you deal with Henry. It's
still a read defender. They're more dynamic than Buffalo even without Zay Flowers on offense. The question is their defense truly that improved?
Well, they have been. But they better be more dynamic because I do think the Bills have a lot going for them right now. They run the ball with James Cook exceptionally well. Kincaid's a very good tight end. You're plus at wide receiver. You got a quarterback. Now the quarterbacks is a wash. They're both brilliant. But I mean, I don't know. What is it worth to play in Buffalo? The first matchup was in Baltimore.
Yeah, that was
ugly.
An ass kicking. Yeah.
Many moons ago. Two teams haven't looked the same. Really, both went through little stretches where you're like, Baltimore more so, but now they fixed their defense.
You could tell me Buffalo wins by 10, Baltimore wins by 10, and I wouldn't be stunned with either result.
Yeah.
I think it's going to come down probably. It's going to be an NFL classic. Who beats themselves? Who turns the ball over?
Feels a little coin flippy.
Yeah.
It's a fun game, though. So I guess the intrigue here is I'll take the Bills. You'll take the Ravens. We'll do it for a tall boy. It'll be fun.
Nice.
We're both taking the Eagles in laying the 6. If we bet it up to over 7, would you take the Rams?
No.
Okay, we both like the Eagles. Yeah, we both like the Eagles.
Yep.
You're going to take the Commanders.
Yes, I am.
I am not going to lay 8.5 or 9.5. No, I'm not. That's too many. I would be with you on the points there, but I think Detroit wins the game.
Boy, Anzalone versus Eckler. That is a hidden fun matchup for the geeks of the sport.
It is. Can the Texans defense, which can get after you, do they make Kansas City blink? Kansas City has been kind of sitting on their ass for 3 weeks. Didn't play their starters against Denver, had the bye week, really haven't had to do anything in a competitive football game in 3 weeks by the time they tee it off here.
I'll just go with Xavier Worthy over whatever the receiving total is. They always dial up off a bye week of shot play.
So
fast guy.
If we're having fun bets to make, take the under in the Rams-Eagles first half.
All right.
I think this is a feeling out process between a team that wants to really run the ball. And I think the Rams want to run the ball too, and they'll shorten the game. Both teams, fewer possessions. We'll take the under for the half. Good work out of you. Thanks to everybody out there. Be very well. Have a great night. We'll talk to you tomorrow on a Libations Friday. Peace.